and that the vacant post needs to be filled by a judge able to perform the work of the court. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
The three-day hearing led by retired Supreme Court of Appeal Deputy President Clement Manyathela is expected to conclude tomorrow, although a date for the tribunal's findings has not yet been announced. The tribunal is also expected to hear from his treating ophthalmologist and a traditional healer, whose evidence forms part of Lekale's explanation for why he believes his condition will improve. Lekale, who has opposed the complaint against him, is expected to present his own evidence after asking for more time to prepare his case.
I did not expect to present my case today, really.
Are you in effect then asking that the proceedings be adjourned at this stage to tomorrow morning for continuation?
Indeed, Mr. Chair, indeed.
If the tribunal finds that Lekale is judicially incapacitated, it will make a recommendation to the Judicial Service Commission, which could ask Parliament to begin the constitutional process to remove him from office. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News, Sandton.
A woman accused of defrauding the Mfuleni municipality is expected back in the Vanderbijl Park Magistrates Court today after her latest bid for bail was dismissed. 25-year-old Janitha van Reenen faces a fraud charge linked to the alleged theft of about 400,000 rand. The case was reported to police by slain municipal financial clerk and whistleblower Martha Ransofu, who was killed execution style earlier this year. Van Reenen has now been denied bail twice, with the court recently finding that the information she presented in her latest bail application did not amount to new facts. Kosikona Malingamnisi reports.
The state alleges Van Reenen falsely claimed she could help residents secure discounts on outstanding municipal accounts, collected money from victims but never paid it over to the municipality. It's also alleged she submitted fraudulent claims to the municipality, which paid her around 424,000 rand that never reached the intended beneficiaries. Prosecutors successfully opposed her bail application, arguing she had failed to present any new facts and remained a flight risk because of inconsistencies around her residential address. The court agreed, finding it would not be in the interest of justice to release her on bail. The matter returns to court today after being postponed for further investigation earlier this month. Eyewitness News.
And all eyes will be on the Reserve Bank today as its Monetary Policy Committee announces its latest interest rate decision. While most economists expect rates to remain unchanged, there's growing debate whether rising inflation could force the central bank to tighten policy once again. The meeting comes a day after it was announced that inflation increased to 5% in June. Anelita Fandese has more.
The South African Reserve Bank's Monetary Policy Committee is expected to leave the repo rate unchanged at 7% when it delivers its latest interest rate decision today. Despite the higher inflation reading, Old Mutual chief economist Johan Els says the latest data is unlikely to dramatically alter the MPC's thinking, as much of the Reserve Bank's forecasting work was completed before the inflation figures were released. However, not everyone agrees. Nedbank expects the Reserve Bank to raise the repo rate by 25 basis points today. The bank says upside risks to inflation, elevated inflation, and the possibility of stronger second-round effects make a stronger case for tighter monetary policy. Anelita Fandese, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,126.57 an ounce. The rand is at 16.37 to the dollar, 21.91 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $96.14 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M2 East. This is between Harderberg Road and Wemmerpan Road. There's also queuing traffic along the N1 South. This is in the Bryanston area between Rivonia Road and Winnie Mandela Drive. That's due to an accident.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, is expected to continue with her testimony at the Madlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Visit primemediaplus.com to enter 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for our Josie.
For Joburg, by Joburg, in Joburg.
Bamise bonke.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang. Good morning. Sanbonani. Bonjour. Komasava. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us here on 702. We always love being in your company. Thank you for joining us. I trust your morning is going well so far. The Clement Manyathela Show starts with the 702 open line on 011-883-0702. You can send WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. So, how much time do you give Andrea Johnson before she resigns? I give her a month. Her days are numbered as the head of IDEC. There's no way she survives this. And I think she's going to resign if she hasn't already drafted her letter of resignation already. Because I don't think she would want to face another inquiry looking into her fitness to hold office. It's going to be just as brutal as the Madlanga Commission. And there's no way, after all of this, the president will just look the other way and not act by establishing a commission of inquiry into her fitness to hold office. So the best thing to do, Mrs. Johnson, is to resign. You have had an incredible career at the Scorpions, at the NPA, maybe at IDEC as well before this drama. And this is the crossroad. I mean, the situation is simply untenable. And it's sad that her illustrious career ends like this. I mean, this is the same woman who was part of the team that successfully prosecuted Jackie Silebi, that successfully prosecuted Oscar Pistorius. And there are many other cases that have been successful under her belt. And now her career comes to an end because she honestly failed to uphold and live up to the standards expected of her as the head of IDEC. And my question is, and I'm really struggling with this, why would she compromise herself like she did in the investigation against the crime intelligence officers? Because I refuse to believe that she was fighting her husband's battles. Because maybe her husband, who was at crime intelligence, wasn't getting along with his boss, General Kumalo. I also refuse to believe that she compromised herself like this to protect General Firoz Khan. So why did she do this? What was all of this for? I mean, there are way too many unethical acts that were committed here. In fact, let me be blunt. There are too many violations of the NPA Act. Why did IDEC start investigating unsubstantiated allegations by Fadil Adams? Or is the issue here her competence? Because it's clear the corruption complaint against crime intelligence head, Dumisani Kumalo, failed the NPA Act's legal test. There's no way she didn't understand that. If she didn't understand that, then she shouldn't be in that office. More so as the head of IDEC. And if she did understand that, then she shouldn't be in that office. Because she acted contrary to the NPA Act and what it requires. So now her competence is under question. I mean, they solicited an affidavit from a complainant. She admitted that the complainant or the complaint by Adams lacked substance to back up suspicions of corruption, and the NPA Act requires that the matters investigated by the directorate should stipulate the grounds on which the suspicion is based. His affidavit did not substantiate the basis of his suspicion of corruption as required by the NPA Act. So the matter should not have been investigated by the directorate to begin with. So again, the question is, since her appointment in 2022, has she been applying the wrong legal test when determining whether complaints fell within the directorate's mandate? Because she also applied the wrong legal test when considering the complaint. Section 27 of the NPA Act requires her to apply an objective test when considering affidavits of complaints. It can be subjective. I mean, the fact that the commissioners had to school her on that is concerning. So what do you think is at play here? And that's really what I'm struggling with, and it's a question I'm asking you this morning. If this is not how she has handled matters before in the past at IDEC, why did she treat this crime intelligence matter as an exception to the rule? What do you think influenced her actions? Because I'm struggling to figure out why she would compromise her illustrious career like that. And I do think the fight here is over the control of crime intelligence. I mean, if Khumalo is out, probably his husband benefits at crime intelligence, or maybe Firoz Khan benefits at crime intelligence. I don't know. I'm trying to connect the dots. But I do think that there are people fighting over the control of crime intelligence, and she allowed herself to be used, or she's part of that fight. I'm not sure which is which. The question, though, is why? What do you think? Let's talk. 011-883-0702. Send your WhatsApps on 072-702-1702. Also, the ANC in Parliament has apparently suggested that the committee must consider the Public Protector's report on Phala, and even the report from the Reserve Bank, and consider the reasons that the Hawks had when they decided not to prosecute the president. And then, once they've considered all of those reports, and then the impeachment committee must decide whether or not to continue with the impeachment. Can you believe that? I find this to be wild. Because those are processes that happen outside of Parliament, right? The Reserve Bank, the Public Protector, what the Hawks did. Parliament still has a constitutional obligation to hold the executive accountable, including the president. So if Parliament wants to satisfy itself, it can rely on its own processes. And yes, they can consider the reports of the Public Protector or the Reserve Bank. But that can't be the basis to decide whether or not to continue with the impeachment inquiry. Then Parliament is again failing in its oversight obligation, unless you agree that this is the approach that the committee should take. Let me know your thoughts on that as well. Give me a call or send a WhatsApp voice note. At 10 o'clock, we are going to be hanging out with Andrea Johnson at the Madlanga Commission. We had a guest this morning who cancelled on us. So what we're going to do is take you to the Madlanga Commission. In fact, I think that's probably what you want to hear, right? You want to hang out with Andrea Johnson and hear how she's going to conclude her testimony. I suspect today may probably be her last day, or maybe she's going to return tomorrow. But she looked tired yesterday. Maybe she was also tired from the many concessions that she had to make. So at 10 o'clock, I'm going to take you back to the Madlanga Commission. And then at 11 o'clock, we are going to do the Thursday dialogue. And today we're discussing the drama that's been unfolding at the PIC. My goodness. And the question we're really asking is, and should the PIC be depoliticized? In fact, the question should be, when is the PIC going to be depoliticized? Because that's been the recommendation even from the Mpati Commission. We are sitting here with a crisis at the PIC because politicians are fighting over control of it. That's it. The institution has once again been drawn into turmoil. And we're going to tell you how we got here and what it means going forward. I've got a panel of guests who are going to be joining me at 11 o'clock to have a conversation about what's happening at the PIC. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
All right, let's try and figure this out together. If we all agree that Andrea Johnson is not incompetent, because, she's had an illustrious career. When you look at how she has performed as a senior prosecutor, as a senior investigator, she's had an illustrious career. So I'm not sure that I buy the argument that she's not competent. The question then is, if she is not incompetent, then why did she compromise herself like this? Because some of the things, I mean, did you hear yesterday when they were talking about subjective versus objective? The chair of the commission had to even say, come on, Mrs. Johnson, even a first-year law student understands that. There's no way that Andrea Johnson doesn't understand that. Then something else is at play here. And I'm trying to get us to work together to figure out what it could be. We know her husband works at Crime Intelligence. Could it be that she was fighting her husband's battles? Because maybe her husband wasn't getting along with Dumisani Khumalo. Could it be that she was fighting Firoz Khan's battles? But why? When she's already told the commission the other day that she has not been speaking to Firoz Khan in a while and she started distancing herself from him. What do you think is at play here? Because something else is at play. There's something else that has led to Andrea Johnson compromising herself like she has. What is it? Ndaba, you're calling us from Craigall. What are your thoughts? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. I think, first off, let's not waste our brain power on deciding whether or not Andrea Johnson is competent. We know she is. We all know she is. Besides all the credits that you gave her for the cases she's been involved in, getting a whole police commissioner arrested, we know this woman is competent. And I think, ironically, what's happened is a sign of her competence. Because what we know now is that Andrea Johnson was able to, while they were watching her, get the head of crime intelligence arrested. While he knew that she was trying to do this, she still managed to get it over the line with no case. That's how competent she is. So I think let's take that one off the table. And then, I mean, yeah, her husband, Firoz Khan, I don't know the relationships. But what keeps sticking in my mind is when we look at our Honorable Minister Mkhunu, what we've heard, even though none of them were his direct actions, but through Nkabinde, is when they call people they know are going to deliver. When they needed this thing disbanded, they waited for the police commissioner to go and leave, so that the person in charge was someone they knew would write the letter and disband the PKTT. And I think even in this regard, when they sent that letter to IDEC, it wasn't a mistake. They didn't have to do their due diligence in what was required in that letter. They knew that sending the message that this case has to go forward was enough because the person receiving it would get the job done, which she did. So I think this is more a direct relation. The whatever reason she has is about her, not her husband, not Firoz Khan. They might be involved. In fact, we know Firoz Khan is involved, but I don't think she did it for him.
But then, I hear you. I hear you what you're saying about they knew, and I'm convinced that there was a conversation that probably happened even before the chief of staff in the minister's office sent that email. I mean, it's clear how coordinated this was. It's not a coincidence that the police minister is planning to disband the PKTT without following the right processes. And then while that process unfolds, then you still also have this process that unfolds where the head of the PKTT is then targeted through these criminal charges. And but I'm glad what you said, Ndaba, that let's not even waste our time debating whether she's competent or not, because she is competent. I suppose what we're trying to figure out now is, why did she do what she did? Why? Could it be that she wanted to be the head of the NPA? Maybe if she did this favor for the minister or for Fadil or whoever is behind the scenes, then they were going to push for her to be the head of the NPA, because that's the next progression, right? That's the next progression for her. But then she didn't get the job. She applied, they interviewed her. She didn't get it. The president decided to go with Ndimutib. So what was she doing this for? What was in it for her? Because clearly there must have been something that was in it for her. Ndaba in Craigall, thank you for your great contribution. Let's go to Dumisani in Germiston. This is not General Dumisani Khumalo, is it? How's it, Dumisani?
I'm good, yeah.
Sure, man.
No, the lady is competent. The lady is qualified, is capable of doing her job. But the love of money, the love of material is what get her into this position. I mean, he's dealing with the likes of Feroz Khan, whom I think they are more powerful. They are criminals that have more power, especially money. So he's compromised by money, and then it's what Madoda Figeni once, when we interview him, he talks about inefficiency. Sometimes it's deliberate. Those are the efficiency by our officials, not our government officials. Sometimes they do it deliberately, so that they can benefit, or that it can benefit those who are accused, so that at the end they will win their cases, or the law will exonerate them. I mean, sometimes these processes are there, but they are compromised by our officials. Take for example the impeachment process. The impeachment process is there, but at the end, as you announced right now, that the ANC wants to bring in the public protector report, want to bring in the SARS report, and also the Reserve Bank report. You know what? The process will be there, but the process will not be there to hold the president accountable. The process are there for you and me. When we ask, they will say those who are supporting the president, they will say that no, the process exonerated to the president.
Yeah, but then remember, with Parliament and its oversight responsibility, it's not enough to just follow the process. Otherwise, we're going to be back in the courts, and the Constitutional Court will again find Parliament failed in its constitutional obligation. The reason where we are now is because Parliament just followed a process. The ANC abused its majority in Parliament to save the president, and then they just went back to normal, and then we all accepted it. Well, thank God the EFF and ATM went to court, so that the court can examine the decisions and the processes that were followed in Parliament. So it's not enough to abuse your majority, right? That's a constitutional principle we appreciate in our democracy, that there are majority parties in Parliament, but whatever decision Parliament takes must still be reasonable. Whatever decision Parliament takes must still be rational. Otherwise, that can be tested in a court of law. It's 25 minutes after 9 o'clock.
Your voice, your station, your open line. Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela on 702.
Hi, Clement. Agree with everything you have said, and with regards to Andrea Johnson, how disappointing it has been to see her career end like this. And when you look back at as you said, the illustrious career she had, and the question of why did she do this? And a little part of me wonders, when we see what's been happening in terms of lawyers, auditors, liquidators, whistleblowers being killed, if there is an element of fear that if you don't do what is being asked of you, or the pressure that's being put on you, you're going to find yourself in a body bag. And whether that, and it's not to excuse wrong behavior, it's not to excuse what has happened, but looking at what's happening in the police force, looking at what's in the police service, looking at what's happening to those who speak out, I really wonder if there is an element of fear. And I wish someone would just come out and say it at the Madlanga Commission, if that is the reason. Thanks.
Good morning, Clement. This is Sim. The fact that Andrea Johnson sat on a panel that appointed her husband when she was still in the Scorpions, I think in 2006, it raises question. It displays a misunderstanding of the law, about how the law works, that in itself. And it raises question as to how did she make it so far in a career. So we can talk about her lack of understanding of the law, but like the people who were able to like promote her up to where she is right now, who are they? It says a whole lot of things.
And honestly, I forgave her for that mistake. And I, as I've said before on the show, I don't believe in cancel culture, or when people have made mistakes in the past and they take accountability for them, then we must throw them into this dark hole. I don't believe in that. I think if someone comes and says, okay, I made a mistake. In hindsight, I realized that I shouldn't have sat on the panel that ultimately was going to decide on who gets the job, and my husband gets the job, and I am on that committee. Like, whether you recused yourself, when your husband was being interviewed and then you came back during the deliberations, still, you shouldn't be involved there. That's your husband. That you're deciding whether or not they get employed or not by the Scorpions. That's wild. So I've forgiven her for that because she takes accountability and she says, I've learned from that mistake. I get that. But this is another level. And that's why I'm saying it's untenable. This is the end of the road for her, which is why I've also asked you, how much time do you give her? I say a month, probably at most. There's no way that the president is not going to act against her, but also there's no way she will accept to face an inquiry looking into her fitness to hold office. That's going to be so brutal. The best thing to do is to just resign, leave. It's sad that your career ends like this, but there's no other way. There's no other way that this ends. Paul, you're calling us from Randfontein. Good morning.
Morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, brother. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I watched the Madlanga Commission yesterday, and in the WWE terms, that was a slam dunk. My view on Andrea Johnson and the why she did what she did is that, remember, I was speaking to the producer that these documents that are being revealed at the commission are of processes that unfolded last year, early this year, even 2 years ago. Some of them perhaps. But when you draw timelines to the point where the NPA job interviews were happening, Andrea Johnson would have cleared the path for herself. In the sense that she would have been a star in the prosecution profession, where she had managed to get a Jackie Silibi prison, and now she would have corruption in the police services, and she would have become a natural choice to become a head of the NPA. Her record would have spoken for her. So she's an ambitious woman, but she tripped herself. That's my opinion. That's why I think all that is happening is the reason for.
Yeah, but she made the biggest mistake then by tripping herself with such obvious things. I mean, when you bend the law like that, in fact, on YouTube, a lot of you seem to be suggesting that there's financial gratification here. Wendy on the YouTube line says, Clement, we need to audit Andrea Johnson's lifestyle and family. This is about greed and money. And then Essen Ndlovu says, Clement, absolutely. This is simply about financial gratification. There's no other conceivable reason circumstantially. And then Tando Moroke on the YouTube page also says, Clement, yesterday you were connecting the dots and you nailed it. Andrea Johnson is a huge part of that question. Thank God she didn't succeed Batohi, because all hell was going to break loose. Well, Shamila Batohi was the head of the NPA, and there's some hell that broke loose. Look at what happened yesterday with Andrew Chauke, who's now going back to work. There was a disastrous appearance of Shamila Batohi at that inquiry. She came out and said, that man, Mr. President, shouldn't be the head of the NPA in Gauteng. Look at how he has handled the Keto Manor matters. And then when she got there, she wasn't even able to help the commission. It was disastrous. My question is, how many other people have been unfairly treated by the threats to institute commissions of inquiries into them, or by threats to arrest them like Dumisani Kumalo, and they ended up resigning because they didn't want the drama? How many of our public officials have had to resign, leave their post because They're being threatened by commissions of inquiries like Andrew Chauke, or by charges, criminal charges like Dumisani Kumalo. Hi, it's 9:32. Swiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The Tshwane municipality's controversial Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi, has officially been reinstated at work after being served with a final written warning. Mnisi was suspended after being implicated at the Madlanga Commission for rigging tenders and leaking confidential information to external people. The Metro made the announcements on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange yesterday that Mnisi is now back at work. The spotlight today shifts to Free State Judge Lipono Likale, who is expected to begin giving evidence before South Africa's first ever judicial incapacity tribunal. The inquiry is considering whether Likale, who has been on sick leave since 2018 due to an eye condition, is still fit to hold judicial office. And 6 candidates for United Nations Secretary General will debate today in the symbolic General Assembly Hall 1 week before the formal start of the selection process. With the campaign lacking a clear favorite, the hopefuls will face 90 minutes of questions from diplomats, UN employees and civil society representatives. Among the candidates running to succeed outgoing Secretary General Antonio Guterres is Senegal's former president Macky Sall. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Let's start off in the city of Tshwane with some delays in Erasmus Park. This is along the N1 North, an accident reported right after the flying saucer interchange is causing some issues there. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N4 West. This is just as you come out of the N1 exit in the Warrenport area. That's due to roadworks, so please approach with care. Then traveling in the south of Joburg, particularly heading towards Sandton, we've got delays on the M1 South. This is just as you approach the Corlett Drive exit. Please be on the lookout there. There's also queuing traffic reported on the M2 East. This is between Heidelberg Road and Wemapan Road. Please approach with care. We'll have more updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Net99 is a leading fiber network operator and internet service provider bringing prepaid fiber to South African townships. Unlock new opportunities with unlimited high-speed internet that helps you work from home, explore the latest AI tools, learn new skills, stay connected with loved ones, and build a brighter future. Get connected from just 379 Rand per month with Mahala installation, uncapped data, and no shaping. This Sunday, the 26th of July, visit the Net99 team at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk event at Ellis Park and meet one of Mzansi's favorite internet service providers. Net99, be a hero.
You've always moved in living color because your greatness was never monotone. Now let the world marvel at you in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, crafted with modern design, luxurious interior, and intelligent tech. Make your next move in the all-new Aura 5 SUV, starting from only 364,900. Visit gwm.co.za for T's and C's and to book a test drive. GWM, go with more.
What's the first name you think of when I say office printers? Nashua, right? We've been supporting businesses with printers for over 50 years. But did you know we also offer other technology to enable your business? From world-class phone systems to PCs and laptops, business-grade internet, and secure cloud storage. All the latest tech to keep your business connected. Nashua. More than print.
Checkers brings you better freshness, better choice, and better value every day. On deals like Parmalat or Bonita salted butter 500 grams, any two for 139 Rand. And Dove bath soap, a 90-gram 4-pack for 64.99. Save 25 Rand. Plus, get up to 40% back in U-Count rewards with your qualifying Standard Bank card. Valid until 10 August. Only at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Pepcore, I presume, looking for more opportunities to get clients. How do you understand the logic behind this move?
Very interesting development. The lower end of the consumer market, sort of the cash market, has for long been ignored by the formal banks. And then slowly there were a lot of players who started to grow.
Koki Kweman, banking and investment analyst.
The Money Show.
Let's walk the talk. The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporate and Investment Banking. Africa's energy future takes more than ambition. It takes turning plans into projects, opportunity into investment, intent into execution. At Absa Corporate and Investment Banking, we help connect the capital, expertise, and opportunity needed to bring sustainable projects to life across Africa. That's how we're invested in Africa's energy future.
Your voice, your station,
your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go back to your calls on 011-883-0702. WhatsApps on 072-702-1702.
Good morning, Clement Manyathela and 702 listeners. Regarding Advocate Johnson, I think she is competent. She has proven to be competent in previous cases. So she cannot claim to be incompetent. She knows exactly what she was doing. The only logical thing is that she was involved with Khan and the criminal syndicate. Therefore, they needed to fight for crime intelligence so that they can protect the criminals. That is why she did whatever she has done. Thank you.
Good morning, Clemmy. I think Andrea Johnson was fighting her husband battles at crime intelligence. And I think the husband wanted to be the crime intelligence boss, so she got involved in that. It's so sad with her experience. Her career is now going to be over. For things like this, it's very, very sad. It's Shavli Sile from Midrand. Thanks, Lemmy. Bye.
Mr. Manyathela, Dumela to you and the listeners. You've heard before that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I think that's what happened with IDEC. They've had too much power. So the problem is not necessarily Andrea Johnson. You can remove her and put someone else there, whoever you think is more competent or whatever, but you'll soon have the exact same problems. What needs to happen is IDEC needs to be reformed, and it needs to be serving the public. We need to make sure that IDEC is serving the public's interest, not any individual's interest. But at the bottom of the issue is that the institution itself needs to be reformed.
Yeah, but guys, come on. There are protection measures that are already embedded in the structure of the NPA to ensure that you don't easily abuse the power. There are. That's why I referenced the NPA Act. You don't just take up any matter and investigate it. There must be a Section 27 referral. And there are boxes that referral need to tick before you as IDEC can start investigating. For instance, it's the police minister who sends an email to Andrea Johnson or to IDEC and says, Fadil Adams, has raised these allegations. We want to refer the matter to you guys. Now, the expectation, in as far as Section 27 of the NPA Act is concerned, is you need an affidavit. In fact, there must be reasonable suspicion. There must be reasonable suspicion of whatever the allegations that are being made. In this case, there wasn't any, number one. Two, there was not even an affidavit. Because who's making the referral? Is it the police minister's office through the chief of staff? Or is it Fadil Adams? And if it's Fadil Adams, why is the email coming from the police minister? So what IDEC should have done is, hello, police minister, thank you for your email. Please note, this is what's expected if you want to make a Section 27 referral. And the police minister decides whether they become the party that makes the referral or they hand that over to Fadil Adams and say, hey, send your affidavit and these required documents to IDEC so that they can assess objectively, not subjectively, assess from whatever you've provided to them whether or not there's a basis here to even start the investigation. I mean, Padayachi, the senior investigator, didn't even look at the Section 27 referral when he started the investigation. He looked at it later. Are you kidding me? That's the first thing you look at, because that's what's supposed to inform your investigation. In fact, it's supposed to inform your decision whether you investigate or not. So my argument here is there are already protection measures that are embedded in the structure of the NPA to avoid abuse of office. But as we have seen, they probably thought there are loopholes that they were going to abuse, but it didn't work because they were not really clear loopholes. What they did is a clear violation of what's expected of them as officers of the law. And that is what the issue is, I think. More of your WhatsApps.
You're not Clement, ne? We have to be honest with ourselves. People never thought one day they'll be investigated. People have been doing what they wanted with states' resources. And hence, your IDEC boss, she doesn't even know how to explain herself to the commission now. Because she never thought one day all these things will come back and bite her. So now the chickens are coming home to roost because everything's there. They've got questions and they're even telling her, like, even a first-year student knows what you're saying. It's not objective. So it's a lot. And for me, I'm happy and I wish the commission could actually stay here for like 5 years. Reason being, South Africa needs to be clean. South Africa needs to have a reset so that we can have like clean governance on each and every department. We need that for South Africa.
My sister, I agree with you. It's what I tweeted. Was it 2 months ago? I tweeted that why can't we have a petition which calls for or advocates for the Madlanga Commission's mandate to be extended? And we can have a conversation about what form the mandate is going to take and what shape the commission will take. But come on, guys, we have never been here in this country before. We've never been here. And I know Justice Madlanga, it's probably wants to go rest. The poor man just retired. He probably wants to go enjoy his retirement. I know, Commissioner Baloyi or Commissioner Khumalo, maybe they don't want to be spending their entire careers or the next couple of years sitting there at the Bridget Mabandla College, hearing testimonies and cross-questioning people. But I think they would consider doing it probably for another year as service to this country. I think they could. And if they can't, maybe we bring in somebody else. Because we're seeing how this commission is working. And I've suggested before that maybe we need a petition. Why don't we start a petition and we say, hey, and we say to the president, instead of the national dialogue, why don't we rather take that money, let's extend the mandate of the Madlanga Commission. And it's not only limited to what's happening in the SAPS. And then we open the door to bring us allegations that you may have in whatever institution you work in. And then the investigators will determine whether or not what are the cases that they bring up to the commissioners to really be ventilated. Oh, we would get through so much. Can you imagine what they would uncover in the city of Johannesburg? Can you imagine what they would uncover at some of our SETAs? At the government departments? A lot. But are we brave enough as a country to do that? Is even our president brave enough to do that? I'm not sure. Because the argument is, all hell will break loose if we go. Let hell break loose. We are at a crossroad in this country. We've got police officers, top prosecutors who are compromised. And they are ruining the name of institutions that still has employees who are committed to their oath of office. We are at a crossroad. Hell has broken loose. And we need to reset, as my sister said. John, you're calling from Fourways. Good morning.
Yes, Clement, good morning.
Sure.
I just wanted to remind you, you remember that Khumalo was heading the political task team,
yes,
that the Minister Mkhunu wanted disbanded.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it would make sense why he would want the minister would want to make false charges against Khumalo and those perceived to be working with him.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Andrea Johnson was conflicted, because she seems to be a friend of Khan, who's highly politicized, and also her husband is there, and maybe they were, how these ministers get involved in promotion of people. So she probably that she will end up with a better job. It also links in with the arrest of Fadil Adam. You remember they went to pick him up, from Cape Town or wherever he was, and they brought him to Durban. So for me, it's all these dots, but it smacks of Mukunu's involvement in making sure that the political task team is disbanded so that he protect Matlala and all these other drug cartels. And as for whether we will ever get rid of corruption, I don't know. There's just an adage that says often when the state is so corrupt at all levels, I mean, whether you look at EFF, ANC, DA, all of them are conflicted, and you can see now in the President's Impeachment Committee, everybody is having their political posture and interest and agenda. Some people have argued in the past that when a state is at this level, you often need you may not agree, but you often need a dictatorship for some time to deal with all these things and then move on from there. Yeah, you won't agree. I know you
because I think I'm a constitutionalist, John, and we've seen what happens when we've got dictatorship. And I think if we're going to take that risk, then you must be willing to say, if a dictator comes and says, let's kill John's family, then you must be okay with it because then you believe in it. Because a dictator would do that. Remember, you can't challenge that.
Absolutely, yeah. But that's what they said in the past.
Yeah, true. John, in 4 ways, thank you for your contribution. Before the break, I've just thought of something now, and it's inspired by what John was saying. Who hires the head of crime intelligence? So, I've looked at it a little bit here. The head of crime intelligence, right, in the SAPS, the National Police Commissioner is responsible for appointing and hiring the divisional commissioner who heads crime intelligence. And the appointments at senior management level, they typically occur in consultation with the Ministry of Police. I'm trying to get to why Andrea Johnson compromised herself. Could it be that she did what she had to do because she wanted Dumisani Khumalo to be out of the position as the head of crime intelligence? Because, I mean, cases were going to go on forever. Maybe Khumalo was going to resign at some point or was going to be suspended. Who knows? Or the case was going to run for years where there's postponements and postponements. What that does is it creates a vacancy at crime intelligence. Who stands to benefit as the head of crime intelligence? And who gets to hire the head of crime intelligence? It's the police commissioner, right? Who would become the police commissioner? Remember, the current police commissioner's term is coming to an end. It's coming to an end. So Andrea Johnson was probably hoping, who knows, maybe Shadrach Sibia or whoever, somebody else, becomes the National Police Commission, and then that person is going to appoint maybe Firoz Khan or maybe her husband, who knows, as the head of crime intelligence, because they would have then moved Dumisani Khumalo out through these frivolous charges. Could that be the case? Angazi, I don't know. I'm just trying to connect the dots here because it's not making sense why a woman with such an illustrious career would compromise herself like that. It's 9 minutes before 10.
Meet the all-new Lepus L6, an aspirational lifestyle sub-brand of the Cherry Group. A spacious, intuitive cabin that moves with you. 6 striking colors, a panoramic sunroof, and an advanced 540-degree HD surround view camera system. With a 10-year, 1 million kilometer engine guarantee, pre-orders are open now. Be among the first. Book your test drive or visit lepus-sa.co.za today. Lepus. Drive your elegance.
If an employee said they were struggling with anxiety, financial or family challenges, would your business know how to assist? The reality is 1 in 3 people experience mental health challenges. Kaelo Lifestyle helps employees and their families with confidential counseling, coaching, legal guidance, financial wellness, and nutrition advice. When employees get the support they need, businesses benefit from healthier, more productive teams. So if you're looking to support your people and strengthen your workplace, visit kaelo.co.za. That's kaelo.co.za.
Find your next design obsession at Decorex Joburg. From the 30th of July to the 2nd of August, the Sandton Convention Centre becomes the destination for the latest in decor and design. Explore over 450 exhibitors across 5 levels, inspiring talks and live demos, plus the property show by Private Property. Download the Decorex app and plan your visit today. Decorex Joburg, 30th July to 2nd August. Tickets at decorex.co.za and at the door.
The world's best male and female paddle players are coming to South Africa. The historic Premier Paddle Pretoria P1 will be at Sunbet Arena Times Square from 26 July to the 2nd of August. Expect world-class action, unbelievable energy, premium hospitality, and an atmosphere unlike anything South African sport has seen before. This is Africa's biggest paddle tournament ever, and tickets are selling fast. Don't miss your chance to witness the sport's biggest stars in South Africa. Get your tickets now at primemediaplus.com.
When Joburg walks with the people, for the people, on Sunday, 26 July, everybody will come together at the finish line of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
Babize bonke. As Josie's favorite artists bring an epic afternoon of fun to the people, featuring Babalwa M, Lebza Defilian, Vibuhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So, after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line and celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city.
It's Joburg, you know?
702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
6 minutes before 10.
Hi, Clement. Good morning. Andre from Pretoria. You know, my theory is let's not look at Andrea Johnson in isolation. If we look at syndicates and networks, syndicates has tentacles and they've got networks. And if you pull the one string, there's a lever, there's another string moving. She could perhaps be a cog in a very, very high profile network where she didn't act on her own and the motive wasn't a singular personal motive. I think my hunch is that she didn't act in isolation. She's not alone, and there are others around her that perhaps know. And so I think there's a domino effect here. If you make one or two other dominoes fall, you might start seeing and hearing other dominoes fall as well. I'm thinking she didn't act alone. It wasn't a personal motive, but this is part of a syndicate that the Madlanga Commission must try and unravel.
Climate, good morning, and listeners. You know what's happening at IDEC, it's really a reflection of what is happening in other government agencies. And all of them, I would say, need some form of a probe. Get them into the commission, all of them, and see what will pan out. Anonymous.
Hi, Uncle Clement. I think the issue of Andrea Johnson, yeah, we all agree she's competent. I think the problem now lies where people do each other favors whilst moving up, ladders to get what they want, which is the position of power. And, once you have to return these favors, I think this is where it then leads to the incompetency of one. So I don't know why we as learned friends and intellect allow for ourselves to get in such situations. Such a sad day, for her. I really feel sorry for her. But you know what? Accountability needs to, at the end of the day, take its course. Thanks,
Yeah.
Kenny here.
Oh, Kenny, I agree, man. I agree. I think you make a fair point. And I did feel sorry for her too, and that's just the compassionate me. I mean, I felt sorry for Jacob Zuma when he was going to jail, not because I didn't want him to be held accountable, but because the human side of me just felt like this is an old man, shouldn't be in jail. And it doesn't have to be Zuma. It could be anybody else for that matter. But I still wanted him to go to jail because that is important for accountability and the rule of law. And even with Andrea Johnson, she must leave that office. She must resign or be suspended or fired if she doesn't resign. But I still am moved with compassion. When I looked at her yesterday, she looked so sad. She looked so exhausted. This is the end of the road for her. She's at a crossroads and she can't even just resign and not return to the commission. They would have subpoenaed her. It's tough. It's a difficult one for her, but it's important for accountability. It's 2 minutes before 10.
What I love about this year's 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk is that it's taking people back into the Joburg CBD. And for people to be able to see the work that Josie My Josie has been doing, how they've been fixing up the city, I'm so excited for people to see that. You should take part in this year's Walk the Talk because if you haven't been into the Joburg CBD in a long time because you're worried about safety, about crime, it's an incredible opportunity for you to go and see what's been happening in the Joburg CBD, what Josie My Josie has been doing, what the residents of Joburg have been doing. This year, I'm going to take part in the Walk the Talk because I can't wait to see the reaction of people when they go back to the Joburg CBD and to just feel that energy and feel the pulse of the city and for people to return and for the city to be rejuvenated and for people to want to get involved in being part of that. To enter the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, go to primemediaplus.com. I'll see you on the streets.
Speaking of the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, it's more than just a city. At the finish line of the Walk the Talk, Babize Bonke, you can celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city, because this epic walk through the inner city all comes together with some of Josie's favorite artists, such as Babalwa, Lebza the Villain, The Buhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line for an afternoon of fun and relaxation. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg.
Get ready to watch demo prices get knocked down. It's the Demolition Sale at Motor Select. Hundreds of quality demo vehicles at smashed prices. Come find the demo deal you've been waiting for and save big on your next car. The Demolition Sale is now on. Motor Select. Trusted value, trusted vehicles. Visit motorselect.co.za to find yours. T's and C's apply.
Big advances in health are happening right here in South Africa. Local researchers are studying a new TB vaccine called M72 that could help stop people from getting seriously ill. And programs like Cochimpilo are helping men living with HIV overcome stigma, start treatment, and stay on it through peer support and private chat guidance. It's South Africans helping shape the future of global health, supported by the Gates Foundation for 25 years. Partners of human potential.
On Sunday, the 26th of July, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment will be working with you and the rest of Joburg in the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, because amazing things happen when Joburg walks together for a cleaner and safer city. So do your part by separating recyclables, using designated bins, and never littering or dumping waste illegally. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, the official environmental partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. More on primemediaplus.com.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I am Sfiso Zulu. The Tshwane Municipality's controversial Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi, has officially been reinstated at work after being served with a final written warning. Mnisi was suspended after being implicated at the Madlanga Commission for rigging tenders and leaking confidential information to external people. The Metro made an announcement on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange yesterday that Mnisi is now back at work. The municipality has debt securities listed listed on the JSE and is required by law to update it on any changes to its senior management. Tabiso Goba has more.
After being implicated at the Madlanga Commission, Gareth Mnisi was suspended from his job as Chief Financial Officer pending an investigation. A forensic investigation report commissioned by the municipality found no evidence of impropriety against Mnisi. Accordingly, earlier this month, Council voted to have the allegations against Mnisi be classified as less serious. Under this classification, the highest form of sanction was a written warning. Yesterday, the municipality informed the Johannesburg Stock Exchange Mnisi was served with the final written warning and reinstated to his job. At the same time, the DA in Tshwane has filed papers in court looking to overturn the council decision to classify Mnisi's allegations as less serious, alleging voter rigging took place. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
The spotlight today shifts to Free State Judge Lipono Likalake, who is expected to begin giving evidence before South Africa's first ever judicial incapacity tribunal. The inquiry is considering whether Likale, who has been on sick leave since 2018 due to an eye condition, is still fit to hold judicial office. Free State Judge President Cagney Musi, who laid a complaint against Likale, concluded his evidence yesterday. Musi told the tribunal that the absence of Likale has placed a strain on the division and that the vacant post needs to be filled by a judge able to perform the work of the court. Mongezi Koko takes a look.
The three-day hearing led by retired Supreme Court of Appeal Deputy President Ola Petse is expected to conclude tomorrow, although a date for the tribunal's findings has not yet been announced. The tribunal is also expected to hear from his treating ophthalmologist and a traditional healer, whose evidence forms part of Likale's explanation for why he believes his condition will improve. Likale, who has opposed the complaint against him, is expected to present his own evidence after asking for more time to prepare his case.
I did not expect to present my case today, really. Are you in effect then asking that the proceedings be adjourned at this stage to tomorrow morning for continuation? Indeed, Mr. Chair, indeed.
If the tribunal finds that Likale is judicially incapacitated, it will make a recommendation to the Judicial Service Commission, which could ask Parliament to begin the constitutional process to remove him from office. Munki Zikoko, Eyewitness News, Sandton.
The Department of Sports will ensure that the South African men and women's hockey team participate in their respective World Cup tournaments next month. The department has pledged 3 million rand in financial assistance to the South African Hockey Association for costs which the players were expected to pay themselves. The department, in a statement this morning, emphasizes that the financial assistance to the teams is intervention only and not a standing commitment by government to cover operational or financial shortfalls at national federations. And 6 candidates for the United Nations Secretary General will debate today in the symbolic General Assembly Hall, 1 week before the formal start of the selection process. With the campaign lacking a clear favorite, the hopefuls will face 90 minutes of questions from diplomats, UN employees and civil society representatives. Among the candidates running to succeed outgoing Secretary General Antonio Guterres is Senegal's former President Macky Sall. The UN is facing a profound financial and confidence crisis, with the US demanding a return to the organization's fundamental purposes of peace and security, while other states stress the equal importance of its other pillars, human rights and development. Gold is trading at $4,126.57 an ounce. The rand is at 16.37 to the dollar, 21.91 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $96.14 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the M2 East. This is between Heidelberg Road and Wimmerpan Road. This is due to an accident while traveling along the M1 South. We've got delays. This is between the Greyston Drive off-ramp and Corlett Drive.
A fine day in store for Gauteng today. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The Tshwane Municipality's controversial Chief Financial Officer, Gareth Mnisi, has officially been reinstated at work.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
We're calling on Joburg to walk the inner city with us. In 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize bonke. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Minutes after 10 o'clock, Dumelang, Sadmonani, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702, and thank you for your brilliant contribution today on the 702 open line. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. We're taking you to the Madlanga Commission now. So ordinarily, if you've just joined us and you missed the open line, I explained that we're not going to do our hanging out feature today. In fact, we are doing the hanging out feature, but we're hanging out with Andrea Johnson at the Madlanga Commission, and the reason we've had to shift things around is because the person we're supposed to hang out with today cancelled us literally about like 30 minutes or so before we started the show. So we're going to be hanging out with Andrea Johnson at the Madlanga Commission, which I actually think is what you'd rather prefer, right? So let me take you straight to the commission now. Advocate Sillo has been asking her about her testimony to the ad hoc committee. And there were questions also asked about why there were these, 12 people on the list of these crime intelligence officers that were going to be charged when the Section 27 referral or the affidavit of Fadiel Adams doesn't even mention these cops. So that's a question that they have been asking her. In fact, before we go there, let's take a quick ad break, and then when we come back, I'm going to take you straight to the Madlanga Commission.
Aubrey Masango.
Weekday evenings,
8 to midnight.
I've been looking at the testimony of the head of IDAC, Ms. Johnson. I can't help but feel like the establishment of IDAC was for nothing other than political reasons. Questions that are posed to her, the lack of response, and more specifically, the issue of Fadiel Adams. How it is now becoming apparent that much of the charges he laid against certain members of the intelligence were fed to him by people from IDAC.
Aubrey Masango.
8 to midnight on 702.
702.
When you are unfairly treated by your bank, insurer, pension fund, or financial advisor, who do you turn to when things go wrong? South Africa's financial ombud system, overseen by the Ombud Council, provides free, fair, and impartial dispute resolution. Visit their stand this Sunday at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk and meet the National Financial Ombud, the Phase Ombud, and the pension fund's adjudicator to learn more about your rights to fair treatment. Go to ombudcouncil.org.za for more information.
Unleash your extraordinary with the ultimate content powerhouse. Unfold the all-new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 256 gig and get a free 1,500 Rand in-store accessory voucher. For just 1,549 Rand per month over 36 months on a 4 gig Red Core plan. Plus, add 149 Rand extra per month and get the new Galaxy Watch 9 eSIM. Pre-order now. Available in-store and online. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Do you know what our problem is?
We have a problem.
You're a little clingy.
clingy.
Every time I start getting somewhere, you want me.
But I need you.
You can't have all of me. I need a little room to grow.
So what are you saying?
Put me in a Nedbank 32-day notice account. Give me some time. I'll come back better. Open a Nedbank 32-day notice account on the Money app and bank your money this July savings month. Go to nedbank.co.za. See money differently. Nedbank. We're a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints. Affordable, lasting luxury.
New year, new you. Same trusted We Buy Cars since 2001. Whether you're buying or selling, We Buy Cars makes the process simple and seamless. Simply visit webuycars.co.za to complete the Sell My Car form for an offer or browse through thousands of vehicles of all shapes and sizes. Ready to buy, sell, or trade in? Well, visit webuycars.co.za or one of their branches nationwide.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy, a pulse, and a feeling connecting everybody. The heart of Mzansi.
It's Joburg.
In celebration of this, 702 has partnered with Jozi My Jozi, and we're calling on you to walk through the city center with us.
Walk the talk.
In the 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk. Babise bonke. On Sunday, 26 July, we're going to the iconic Joburg CBD, the home of dream creators and operators, where we dominate and history make. So join us and be a part of something special.
I'm ready to rock this book.
Because when Joburg walks together, extraordinary things happen. Enter now on primemediaplus.com and get ready for 702 Jozi My Jozi Walk the Talk this July, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Walk with the people, for the people, for our Jozi. Babise bonke. Enter Walk the Talk now on primemediaplus.com.
Your voice.
Your questions.
Your morning radio with Clement Manyathela.
This is 702.
It's 14 minutes now after 10 o'clock. Let's go straight now to the Madlanga Commission. They've been asking her, Andrea Johnson, that is, about her testimony to the ad hoc committee. Remember, at the ad hoc committee, she was asked whether she knew Fadil Adams had also referred the matter to the police commissioner or the police minister. And in her response then, she said, no, not at all, which is quite different from what we know now, because she said she didn't recall at the ad hoc committee. So she's being asked about that.
That was incorrect, what you told the ad hoc
This is
committee.
incorrect, yes.
Because already by the 6th of December, you had engagement not just with Perumal, but also with the prosecutor.
That is correct.
Because you would have, by the 6th of December already, looked at the application from the prosecutor and formed a view that you are going to authorize investigation into those 12 people that we mentioned earlier.
That is correct, Commissioner Kumalo.
Thank you. The question is, why did you say to the ad hoc committee that you received the Section 27 in the middle of December? Why would you say that?
At the time, Commissioner Baloy, that was my recollection. In coming to...
Yeah, carry on,
sorry. In coming to this commission, I had to offer myself properly with all of the facts. I'm not saying that the ad hoc was not important. I didn't go through all of this detail with my team when I went to ad hoc.
But you would have prepared to go to ad hoc. I mean, yeah. I suspect they will be deeply offended if they are to understand you to mean you went to that committee without preparing and looking at your records on this matter. So I must assume that you prepared when you went there. You knew what the issues were. Their terms of reference, as in the question that they are required to deal with, are not very different from what we are dealing with here. So you knew that the referral and your investigation and your arrest of General Kumalowe and what General Mkwanazi said on the 6th of July were at the heart of what they're investigating. So I cannot conceive of a situation where you did not go into your records of how this started. This are what culminates in prosecution. Where did it start? I can't, it's difficult to accept you saying, I did not remember, when in fact a lot happened before the 6th of December. A lot. You activated things. You received a Section 2813 application. You authorized things to be done before the 6th of December. How can you make a mistake? How could you genuinely make a mistake that you received this referral middle of December? It's improbable that's what happened. It's improbable that you did not remember that you received this in November already, before the middle of December. In fact, here you say middle December. We know it's much earlier that you are actioning and making demand and signing those documents for people to be investigated. It's improbable that you didn't remember it. You can comment if you have any comment, but that's my view. It's just unbelievable that you did not remember when you answered the question.
I take your point, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. And staying with your testimony before the ad hoc committee, can we go to page 557? And just to introduce the issue, it starts at 557, bottom thereof. Advocate Arendt's stating, you mentioned that you do not know, have never met Mr. Adams. You mentioned in your statement that when he approached IDEC, he had already gone twice to the subs in Western Cape and Gauteng province to open cases. Now we know that he didn't approach IDEC. IDEC approached him. We know that now for a fact. Do you confirm?
Correct.
And then Advocate Arendtse continues, and then you say somewhat miraculously that these cases disappeared. Now, do you have first-hand knowledge of this, or are you just conveying information that came to your knowledge at some point? Your response at 558 reads thus: this came to my knowledge through my own investigators who had taken the Section 27 referral affidavit from Mr. Adams. Part of what he indicates is that when he received information which he alleges was pushed under his door, which is part of the affidavit, he opened cases in the Western Cape. Am I to understand that the information pushed under his door is part of the affidavit, because the version we have doesn't have any annexures?
No, it is part of what he said in the 27. He says he received documents under his door.
Oh, so which is part of the affidavit is the allegation that
is the allegation.
But did you receive those were those documents disclosed to IDEC?
They were not part of the 27, and I'm not aware that any of those documents were disclosed to IDEC.
So you never received. You're not aware of receipt. No. Let's stay at page 558. At the bottom, Mr. Skosana says, did Mr. Adams bring up a classified document in this report? If so, are you authorized to investigate classified intelligence, and which specific section allows you to do so? According to the law, only the Inspector General of the Intelligence Office has the authority to investigate such matters. Your response is overleaf at the top of 559, wherein you state what the ID herself received was a Section 28 application based on Section 27 referral. I'll pause there. When you say what the ID herself, you are the ID.
Correct.
Oh, so you are speaking of yourself in the third person. Yes. I shouldn't get confused. Okay. You continue, the investigators got an affidavit from Mr. Adams. Let us just say the ID was given a document purported to be classified. The ID is in possession of top secret clearance that therefore will allow me to look at those documents. However, before we do that, even with the State Security Agency matters to err on the side of caution, would indicate to the person giving us a document, can you rather declassify before you give it to us? But I did not have sight of any of the classified documents. Now, you say you received a Section 28 application based on the 27, and you say, let us say the ID was given a document purported to be classified. Are you suggesting that you were given a document that was purported to be classified, or are you saying it's a hypothetical example? Should you be given a document purporting to be classified?
It was a hypothetical example.
So you have not seen the content of the documents that were pushed under Mr. Adams' door?
Correct, I have not.
You remember yesterday, you relied on specifically those documents as a ground for the suspicion that Mr. Adams harbored. How could you when you haven't seen the actual documents?
I rely on what he says in his affidavit, that this is, I received information under my door, this is what the information said. So I relied on his affidavit. He didn't give us classified documents, or I didn't get any classified documents. So, Counsel, he refers to it. He says, documents having been pushed under my door, I relied on that information. And of course, I think it goes on further to say he relied on other information he would have got.
Now, if you are looking for the referral affidavit, Mr. Adams's, it's at file 2, page 512, and the paragraph you're referring to is paragraph 3. File 2, page 512.
Yes, that is
now, if we go to 513 at paragraph 3, he says, my suspicion about General Khumalo and others became more clearer when I found an envelope pushed under my office door at Parliament, which contained some crime intelligence procurement documents using secret funds of crime intelligence and vetting documents. So, if I understand you correctly, within the engagement yesterday that there were no grounds, you said that is one of the grounds. Now, you haven't seen the content of the envelope and the documents therein, but you rely on Mr. Adams, who says, trust me, I've read them.
That is correct.
Okay.
Can I just on this, follow up on this? I don't remember which provision exactly in the NPA Act, but there is a provision that states that if in the course of your investigation you come upon, I'm going to call it information because I don't remember the exact terminology, of a possible offense, another offense that is not what you're investigating, you can refer it on if it's not part of what you're investigating. Am I correct in remembering such a provision? Yes. Now, on this here, in the referral affidavit, Mr. Adams tells you that I have intelligence documents that were shoved under my door. And from those documents, I have even more reason to believe that Khumalo and them, General Khumalo and them, have committed offenses. Isn't that typically, because you know, you are in the sector, you know that when he says somebody shoved intelligence documents under me, it's material that you shouldn't have. You know that.
Correct.
Did you do anything in accordance with the provision of your act that says if you come upon information that suggests a possible offense being committed, you refer it to another agency? Did you refer this possession of intelligence documents that were on Mr. Adams's own account were not properly given to him or lawfully given to him? Did you refer it to the appropriate agency for investigation?
I did not, Commissioner, not having any knowledge or sight of the documents he referred to.
he tells you that he's got documents that speaks to intelligence matters. It's crime intelligence documents about procurement and something else. You have acted on his affidavit solely on suspicion. You did not have any facts to action anything in his affidavit that we have settled. He gives you information that tells you, I have, not only in my possession, I have had sight of crime intelligence documents that someone gave to me, and I don't know who they put them under my door. That seems to me a classical case of you should have referred this to somebody. You don't need to see the documents to know. He's telling you I've got possession of those documents. Why did you not consider it a case that must be referred to somebody else to look at, the appropriate authority to look at?
I did not.
Okay. And you don't have a reason why you didn't do it?
No, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. Your October 25 statement to the Commission, regarding the dockets. Now, this is, as of the 6th of December, you have authorized...
Mr. Sorry, can I please interrupt you? I didn't
Absolutely.
realize you're asking a different question. Advocate Johnson, that referral that Ms. Silla referred you to exchange with Advocate Arendse, where you say you were not aware that a complaint has been laid with the minister. Can I ask you to repeat your explanation for why you answered the way you did?
At the time, I did not remember that letter. At the time when I was at the ad hoc committee.
You did not...
I did not recall that we had got a letter from the office of the minister.
Okay, so it's the same explanation.
It's the same explanation.
Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Silla.
Okay, that clarification. Staying with the transcript. And page 562. At the top of 562, Advocate Arendse says, were you aware that the matter had also been referred to SAPS? You respond, only insofar as Mr. Adams in his affidavit indicated his initial report to a police station somewhere in the Western Cape, and then his reporting of the same to a police station in Gauteng. That is the only SAPS reference that IDEC is aware of. Then Mr. Advocate Arendse refers you to page 2H3 of the ad hoc record and states you will see there that is an email from Chief of Staff Ngabinde dated 1st November. Good morning, Major General Sibula. Ministry has received this complaint from a member of Parliament. In order for the ministry to respond accordingly, please furnish this office with a report responding to this complaint and the details of the investigating officer who was assigned to investigate those cases. Your report is expected by the 4th, Monday, 4th of November. You are not aware that this complaint was also being laid with the minister at the time, Minister Mkunu, and in turn he was referring to the policy, and you say, no, not at all. Mr. Arendse continues, at the front of your bundle, there should be an information note that is addressed to the National Commissioner. It is dated 30th July 2025. It is signed by Lieutenant General Divisional Commissioner Inspectorate, P.A. Jacobs. This memo records the passage of this complaint by Honorable Adams and how it gets to the National Commissioner. The purpose of the information note is to provide a response to the allegations that, one, the division inspectorate was complicit and irregular in the handling of the service complaint leveled by Mr. Adams, and two, to reflect on an averment that the division inspectorate irregularly handed 7 dockets to the investigating directorate against corruption, IDEC. Were those the dockets that would have been requested by the IDEC investigation? Then you say the dockets that were requested are those dockets. So you confirm. I'll stop there. Yesterday we gave you 2 annexures MK15 and MK16.
All right, it's 10:31 now. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. And when we come back, we'll take you back to the Madlanga Commission. Sfiso, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. At least 7 people have died in a crash in Mpumalanga involving a truck and 2 minibus taxis. The Transport Provincial Department says the crash happened this morning on the N4 between Bombela and Godwana. Department spokesperson Moeti Musi says some of the victims were burnt beyond recognition. Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has blamed one of her subordinates for a major blunder in the unit's probe into senior crime intelligence officers. It's been established at the Madlanga Commission that Johnson authorized an investigation into 8 senior crime intelligence officers without any basis. Testifying at the Commission this morning, Johnson says IDEC's chief investigator, Dylan Perumal, is the one who gave her the names. And the Sports Department says it will ensure that the South African men's and women's hockey team participates at their respective World Cup tournaments next month. The department has pledged 3 million rand in financial assistance to the South African Hockey Association for costs which the players were expected to pay for themselves. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
While traveling on the M2 East, we still have got those delays. This is between the Wemapan Road and Shilver Street. While traveling on the N1 South, some issues approaching the Baklu interchange. That's due to roadworks. There's also queuing traffic reported on the N12 West. That's between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange. Out in Sharon Lee, some issues on Malibongo Drive towards President for Share Road. There's also queuing traffic reported in Paulshof along Witkoppen Road, approaching Umhlanga Avenue. That's due to an accident. Please be on the lookout there. More updates at the top of the hour. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
As Joburg takes a big step towards a cleaner future, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment is joining you on this journey because a cleaner city is everyone's responsibility. So whether at home or in public spaces, always use designated bins, separate recyclable material and never litter or dump illegally. And together, everyone can build cleaner, healthier and greener communities. Act now. Reduce waste and recycle. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment.
You know when your people are giving their best, not because they're pushed or pressured, but because they feel supported. And support is making sure they're covered. So if something happens, they can get the care they need. FlexiCare Health Insurance makes it simple for every business to protect their people with affordable health cover. You care. We cover. For a tailored FlexiCare quote, speak to your financial advisor today. FlexiCare is not a medical scheme and the cover is not the same. FlexiCare is underwritten by Auto & General, a licensed non-life insurer and FSP, and administered by Discovery Health, an authorized FSP.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
You've taken your small business far. Nedbank and 702 can help you take it even further.
How important is it that a campaign like Nedbank Business Ignite recognizes not only entrepreneurs, but people who solve problems?
It is important because being an entrepreneur can be a lonely journey. You go through a lot of challenges, and when you do have those victories, there's no one to recognize you. And this competition definitely does that, to recognize the good that the entrepreneurs have done, their achievements. And what we're doing differently this year, we actually decided to touch base with our past winners. We shot a vodcast, and people can go and actually watch those and actually catch up with our past winners to find out what they've done since winning the competition. I mean, my mind was blown in terms of what these guys have achieved.
See money differently. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Taking part in the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk this Sunday, bring Joe with you. Joe is your free AI Johannesburg companion, helping you navigate the route while uncovering hidden Josie gems along the way. You could even win a great prize, a Josie weekend experience around Main Street Sundays on the 9th of August. Use the signs along the routes to unlock fascinating facts about the city's history. Download Joe now by going to JHBinyourpocketgpt.com. That's joburginyourpocketgpt.com. Walk the talk with Joe and Josie My Josie and discover your city one story at a time.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
23 minutes before 11 o'clock. We're back now, live at the Madlanga Commission.
As the Divisional Commissioner of Detectives.
Why to both?
When the letter was written to General Khumalo, it was because Adams had indicated he had opened dockets in Orlando, Chair, that falls under Gauteng. So we had to write to the Commissioner. And he indicated, if my memory serves me correctly, he indicated to the investigator, either it's Mr. Rapes or Mr. Perumal, that the dockets were no longer with him and that the dockets were with the inspectorate, if I recall the feedback correctly. That would be the inspectorate that we're referring to in terms of where General Jacobs was the head. I then write to the Divisional Commissioner of Detectives, Lieutenant General Sentumule, as the national custodian of the dockets. And General Sentumule facilitated the receipt of those dockets. Those dockets were then, in fact, commissioners and council found to be with Lieutenant General Peter Jacobs and were then handed over.
So Mr. Adams would have told you on the 6th itself, because you wrote to General Mbuso Khumalo on the 6th. But on the same day, you write to General Sentumule for the explanation that you've just given. It must mean, therefore, that after writing to General Khumalo, even before he responded to you, you were in touch with Mr. Adams about these dockets, and then he told you then that actually they are with the inspectorate. Is that how it happened?
No, Commissioner Baloy. In his affidavit, the Section 27 referral, he initially in paragraph 1 refers to the dockets he opened in the Western Cape. And thereafter in paragraph 8, he says, a few days after I opened the 3 cases at the Cape Town police station, I decided to go to Gauteng. And I went to Orlando police station where I opened another 3 cases based on the 3 cases.
Yes. But on the very same day, you write to General Sentumule now at head office, even before you get a response from General Khumalo. And I understood you to say you wrote to General Sentumule because Mr. Adams told you that the dockets are with the inspectorate. Did I understand your evidence correctly? Or did I hear it correctly?
Commissioner, we wrote to the provincial head, Major General Khumalo. He had informed the investigators that the dockets were not with him. It is on that basis that we then made the follow-up on where the dockets were. Now, I'm not sure whether it was Investigator Rapeso or Investigator Perumal who subsequently found out that those dockets were with the inspectorate, which is why we then wrote on the very same day. But they had got a response that it is not with Major General Khumalo.
Okay. All right, and that response, they didn't get it from Mr. Adams. I had misheard you then.
You misheard me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you on that. So you wrote to Major General Khumalo on the 6th, requesting the docket. On the 6th, Major General Khumalo advised that the dockets are not with him.
He had an engagement with one of the 2 investigators. It's either Mr. Rapeso or Mr. Perumal.
Oh, so pursuant to your letter, he then had an engagement?
Correct.
Who initiated that engagement? It has to be one of them, because
it would have been Mr. Perama that you spoke to. But the finding out, sorry, Council.
Go ahead,
But the finding out of that the dockets were then with the inspectorate is something that was conveyed by Mr. Rapesu, the other investigator.
Oh, so I hope your council and representatives are going to keep a running list. Could you avail us that letter that you wrote to General Khumalo and any written response that you may have received there too?
Yes, I can make that letter available.
I would appreciate it. Then you write to General Sentumule.
Correct, Council.
Same day, I take it, the 6th?
Yes.
So can I include that letter in the pack, in the request for documents?
In fact, when we take the tea adjournment, I do believe I have them with me.
Okay.
If I haven't made any notes on them, I will make them available. If I've made notes, apologies, and we'll make sure we get you clean copies. I will avail what I have. If there's anything short, we'll ask for that to be availed to yourselves.
And then, so you wrote to Major General Khumalo because of the Orlando dockets?
That is correct.
Who is his equivalent in the Western Cape? Did you write to the person with the equivalent post to now get the Western Cape dockets?
That equivalent would have been Provincial Commissioner Patekile, but there was no need to engage General Patekile, because as per Adams himself, he says, I opened the very same. So if it's the very same, we get the dockets that we got. We didn't go back to we didn't see the need to go back to the Western Cape, because he said he opened the same. He made the same allegations, sorry, Council, in Gauteng.
Can I just get clarity on this? When IDEC was told that the dockets are with the inspectorate, did it not cross IDEC's mind that, well, if the inspectorate is already investigating these issues, then it's their mandate, we don't have to deal with this?
I would agree with you, Commissioner Khumalo, if we knew what the dockets were doing at the inspectorate. It is for that reason that I write to General Sentumule, who is the custodian of dockets. She facilitates that process. If, in fact, she came back to IDEC to say that we cannot facilitate those dockets from the inspectorate because there is whether it's a service delivery complaint or whatever it is that they were looking at, then we had no right to ask for those dockets.
It's slightly different. You know what the inspectorate does, so you know what their function is. And you get told that the very 4 dockets you are looking for are with the inspectorate. The first thing that would cross my mind is it means they are investigating the same thing that I'm being asked to investigate. Because inspectorate is not the local police station, or it's not the, what do they call it, the station of first. I can't remember the term that was used many times. That's not where the case is opened. So if a docket is with the inspectorate, it must be there for one reason and one reason only, to investigate what went wrong with those dockets. So as part of your thinking process, either under Section 27 or 28, did it not cross your mind that, well, if the matter has been referred to the inspectorate, they have authority to investigate these issues, then we don't have to duplicate or use the same resources that they are using for that investigation?
May I respond? That if and that is why I just go back to my previous point. If in fact General Sentumule came back to indicate that the inspectorate was vested with the investigation and what that investigation was, and sorry IDEC, goodbye, you cannot get those, we would have stepped back. The inspectorate, from how I understand it, Commissioner Khumalo, and if I'm incorrect, my understanding is they were looking at a service delivery complaint. That is how I see the inspectorate, is if the rest of the police are not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It does not of necessity, therefore, equate that they would have been looking at the allegations that Adams made in his Section 27 referral, hence the request for the docket.
You said if I'm corrected, but I assume now, having seen the June 2025 report, you know that...
I now understand it differently.
You now understand. Yes.
Correct.
On this, can I ask this question? When Mr. Adams gives you an affidavit, the Section 27, and he says, I've laid these complaints and nothing is happening, or they've been intercepted, before you make the decision to investigate, is there a reason you don't inquire with the SAPS? They are your sister agency. You, at that point, I assume you know nothing. We have this inadequate Section 27 by any interpretation, by any account. It's woefully inadequate. It contains only suspicions. But more importantly, that affidavit tells you, I have laid a complaint with the SAPS about these matters. Here are the docket numbers. How is it that your first step as a sister organization, you don't say to the SAPS, we've received this complaint, this affidavit, what is happening? Because then you will get an answer that we are investigating, we are trying to get hold of whatever's contained in that report. You would have gotten that answer and you would have known to leave it, as you say, that had we known what's happening, we would have left it at that point. How is it that that's not the first thing you do? Instead of deploying resources, and I deliberately say deploying resources because you do have a complaint that you don't have adequate resources to investigate all matters that fall within your mandate that you should investigate. How is it not the first reaction to find out where the complaint has been laid before you demand the dockets, to find out, have you received this complaint? Is anything happening? Is there anything to this concern that they've been intercepted?
My first port of call, Commissioner Baloy, was I did call. I called Lieutenant General Sentumule.
After you received, before?
Before I sent a letter.
Yeah, but this is after you've now made the decision to investigate. So my question is, before you make the decision to investigate, before you say to Mr. Perumal, whatever you say to him that makes him go and speak to Mr. Khan, before you say to Ms. Ramsamay, make an application in terms of Section 28.3, include these names, before all of that, you haven't yet made the decision we are investigating. You get a complaint from, yes, a member of parliament, but he's a member of the public. For all intents and purposes, that complaint is not laid by a member of parliament because he's not representing parliament. He's a member of public who lays a complaint with you that, and the complaint, as we discussed yesterday, is my dockets have been intercepted. There's no intention to conduct any investigation. So I'm still at that point where that is the complaint. How is it that it is not the first step that you take to inquire from the SAPS? Is it so that you have these dockets? What are you doing about them before you make the decision? SAPS is doing nothing about it. Give us the dockets. We are now going to investigate this.
So it is on that basis, Commissioner Baloy, that we wrote to General Khumalo to find out if they had the dockets. When he said they don't have the dockets, my next port of call was a telephone call to Lieutenant General Sentumule to indicate, General, we have this matter for an investigation. We are looking for the dockets. We are given to understand that they are not with Gauteng. And one of my investigators has indicated that he has since learned that the dockets are with the inspectorate. General Sentumule indicated and this was a telephone conversation, Commissioner Baloyi, she indicated that she was not aware herself that the dockets were with the inspectorate. She would find out and she would come back.
Yeah, that's Andrea Johnson on the hot seat at the Madlanga Commission. We'll take you back there after the break. It's 8 minutes now before 11.
Scholar Transport drivers, every winter morning, our children depend on you to get them to school safely. But overloaded vehicles and rushing against time puts lives at risk. Remember, our children are not cargo. Overloading reduces your ability to stop on wet or icy roads. Drive responsibly. Arrive safely. Protect every child, every trip. This message is brought to you by the National Department of Transport.
Success doesn't wait. It doesn't copy. It doesn't ask permission. It moves. Powered by 125 kilowatts of turbocharged performance, 270 Newton meters of torque, and a 7-speed DCT transmission. Designed with electrically adjustable front seats, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and an 8-speaker Sony sound system. The new Jetour Dashing. Success looks different from 429,900. Get behind the wheel today.
When 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk happens this Sunday, we want to make your day as seamless as possible with the park and shuttle service. The color of your wristband contained in your walk number pack corresponds with your designated collection point and grants you access onto the shuttle. Monte Casino is red, Greenstone Shopping Center is green, Clearwater Mall is blue, and Gold Reef City Casino is white. Please ensure that you are at your designated pickup point at least 30 minutes before your intended departure time. Shuttle buses will depart from all park and shuttle pickup points every 30 minutes starting at 5:30 a.m. See you at the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Babize Bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
6 minutes now before 11. We're back at the Madlanga Commission where Andrea Johnson is back on the stand.
27th of November. My question is, on the 22nd of November, why is it that your first step is arising from this affidavit is to call whether General Kumalo, whether General Patekile, whether General Sintumule to say there is a complaint that has been laid with the SAPS and the dockets have gone missing according to the complainant? Are you aware of this complaint and are you acting on it? Why is it that's not what you do first? In fact, what you do is you go into full investigation mode, and the next thing you do, you're demanding or you're taking the dockets. So I'm not yet there. I'm talking about your first move on these.
It would have been, at the time, would have been based on the fact that Mr. Adams makes the submission that he knows that his dockets would not be dealt with and or the cases would disappear. And I do take your point that the Section 27, as the commissioners now see it, is inadequate. At the time we base our actions on what was on the Section 27. And on the 27, there are allegations being made against the police in terms of criminal allegations, as well as allegations that the dockets would disappear as they did in Cape Town. And it is on that basis that I make that call, Commissioner Baloyi.
So you unquestioningly just accepted his say-so. He says to you in the affidavit, my dockets have disappeared, they've been intercepted, and you go into investigation mode. You don't question. Why would he say that? Let me verify that indeed nothing is being done about them. You say it's on the basis of what he says. So whatever he says, you just acted on that, because that's what it is. He said so, and you went into investigation mode on that basis.
That is correct, Commissioner.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Please help me here, if you can, Advocate. At some point on the 6th of December, you are aware that the dockets referred to in the complaint are with the inspectorate, correct?
Correct.
I assume that you are aware of the function, or what the function was of the inspectorate, that it plays a specific role, and that perhaps, in general, it's empowered to investigate service complaints against SAPS members.
Correct.
So it's acting in terms of law to have those dockets and to investigate, as you have now subsequently found they were doing, regarding the service complaints.
Correct.
Okay. Now, can you then point me to the legislation or any prescript that then gives IDEC the authority to dispossess the inspectorate of those dockets while that investigation is ongoing? What gave IDEC authority to demand those dockets?
IDEC didn't intend to dispossess the inspectorate of those dockets. What IDEC did is, acting upon the Section 27 and the subsequent authorization, IDEC sought to determine where those dockets were.
Yes.
And again, I repeat that if, in fact, those dockets could not be made available to IDEC, then that would have ceased that matter. Because for me, Council, my interpretation is the inspectorate is dealing with a service delivery complaint. IDEC has allegations of criminality together with the allegations by Adams that my dockets will disappear, etc. It is on that basis that we approached the police. I can take it no further than if we were told that the inspectorate cannot release those dockets, then that is where it would have had to end.
Right, it's a minute now before 11.
It's Winter Carnival at Food Lovers Market. Save big with pork packs at only $59.99 per kilo. Delicious pork spare ribs at $89.99 per kilo. Large golden bananas at $12.99 per kilo. 3 125-gram punnets of farm fresh blueberries for 50 Rand. And 4 1.5-litre bottles of Coca-Cola Original Taste for just 60 Rand. Valid until Sunday, 2 August, only at Food Lovers Market.
In the 1960s, Douglas Engelbart had a thought. What if you could jump from one idea to another with just a click? That question led him to pioneer how hypertext would work. And this laid the foundation of how we navigate the internet today. See, whether you're reinventing the future or building something new, you need the right foundations to start. At Exnilo, we give you the right foundation to host your big idea. Exnilo, trusted in hosting.
Joburg, it's time to show up for our city. On Sunday, the 26th of July, join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank. Walk through the heart of Johannesburg, celebrate its rich history and experience the exciting growth taking place in the CBD. As a committed partner invested in the future of our city, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement helping to build a stronger, safer and more vibrant Josie for generations to come. Register today and take part in what brings Johannesburg together at the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. At least 7 people have died in a crash in Mpumalanga involving a truck and 2 minibus taxis. The Transport Provincial Department says the crash happened this morning on the N4 between Bombela and Godwana. Department spokesperson Mweti Musi says some of the victims were burnt beyond recognition.
One of the combis was pulling a trailer that seems to have wandered off the road. Truck seems to have crashed into it and then it overturned while the other combi collided into the truck. It is reported that one of the combis then caught fire.
Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has blamed one of her subordinates for a major blunder in the unit's probe into senior crime intelligence officers. It's been established at the Madlanga Commission that Johnson authorized an investigation into 8 senior crime intelligence officers without any basis. Testifying at the Madlanga Commission this morning, Johnson says IDEC's chief investigator Dylan Perimal is one of the person who gave her the names. Tabiso Goba reports.
IDEC's investigation into crime intelligence is based solely on a complaint laid by National Coloured Congress Member of Parliament Fadil Adams. In his complaints, Adams names and accuses only 3 senior crime intelligence officers of corruption. However, when IDEC head Andrea Johnson signs off on the unit to begin its investigation, the names increase from 3 to 12. Johnson says the additional names were added by IDEC's chief investigator, Dylan Perumal. Johnson says she will be looking into Perumal's improper conduct.
I have to consider the conduct. I have to get a response from him. If the response is outside of the framework and the legality, it must then be dealt with through the IDEC judge.
Commissioners and evidence leaders have criticized Johnson for signing off on an investigation without exercising proper oversight. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The state's main witness in the corruption case against former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula has taken the witness stand. Nombasa Nsondwa Ndlovu, a contractor in the Defence Force, has turned state witness and is testifying against the former Defence Minister. According to the states, Mapisa-Nqakula solicited 4.5 million rand from Nsondwa Ndlovu in bribes, and she ended up paying 2.15 million rand in cash over a 2-year period. Khomoso Modise is in court.
Yesterday, the Pretoria High Court heard testimony from Member of Parliament Bantu Olomisa as the main complainant in the corruption case against Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula. He testified that in 2021, it was Nombasa Nsondwa Ndlovu who confided in him about the bribes she'd been paying to Mapisa-Nqakula, who was Defence Minister at the time. Olomisa says he raised this with Parliament's Defence Committee at the time, and he was advised to lay a criminal complaint. This morning, Nsondwa Ndlovu, the sole director of Umkhombe Marine, has given a brief history of tenders that she had scored within the South African Defence Force. She's expected to expound on how Mapisa-Nqakula allegedly used code words linked to her ancestral calling, sometimes inviting her for a consultation in her sacred hut before requesting bribes. Khomoso Modise, Eyewitness News at the Pretoria High Court.
And the sports department says it will ensure that the South African men's and women's hockey team participate at their respective World Cup tournament next month. The department has pledged 3 million rand in financial assistance to the South African Hockey Association for costs which the players were expected to pay for themselves. EWN sports reporter Mawande Mateza has more.
SA women's hockey star Unthatile Zulu revealed in a social media post that she and her teammates were expected to pay close to 70,000 rand each out of their own pocket to represent South Africa at the World Cup in August, an astronomical amount for a sport that still has amateur status in the country. The National Hockey Association resorted to crowdfunding platforms to help raise the 2 million rand needed to take both teams to the Netherlands and Belgium, where the tournaments will be co-hosted. Recently, the department announced it had spent nearly 31 million rand on the FIFA World Cup, which included sending South African fans to Mexico to cheer for Bafana Bafana, and this in part prompted Zulu to share her frustration at a lack of funding for her sport. The department has emphasized that the financial assistance provided is an intervention only and not a standing commitment by government to cover operational or financial shortfalls in the future. Mawande Mateza, Eyewitness News.
Gold is trading at $4,126.57 an ounce. The rand is at 16.37 to the dollar, 21.91 to the pound, 18.71 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $96.14 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays in the city of Tshwane Erasmus Park along the N1 North right as you approach Rigel Avenue due to an earlier accident. There's also queuing traffic heading towards Bedford View along the N12 and the R24 West between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 20 and 23 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour: 7 people have died in a crash in Mpumalanga involving a truck and 2 taxis.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Joburg is more than just a city. It's an energy that connects us all.
That's what makes this one so special.
In 702, Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter now on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 11 o'clock, Dumelang. Welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. It's time for our Thursday dialogue.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's Walk the Talk on 702.
On our Thursday dialogue today, I want us to focus on the drama that's been unfolding at the PIC. And the question we're really asking is, should the PIC be depoliticized? Or let me put it more clearly, when is the PIC going to be depoliticized? Because that's been the recommendation even from the Party Commission. We are sitting with a crisis at the PIC now because politicians are fighting over control of it. I'm convinced. The institution has once again been thrown into turmoil with its chief executive officer and chief investment officer both currently on precautionary suspension while the board probes a controversial investment in Lanseria Airport. At least 6 non-executive directors of the PIC's 11-member board have resigned recently, and the finance minister has had to step in. He's called a general meeting of the PIC for the 27th of July, where non-executive directors and his deputy, David Masondo, are set to face a shareholder vote for removal. But that's not going to solve the PIC's problems. That's not going to solve the shortcomings in governance and investment decision-making that were identified by the PIC. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has also stepped in. They've launched an investigation into the PIC after raising concerns about stability and transparency at the institution. I mean, this is an important asset manager. These leadership and governance issues have potential impact on the integrity and confidence of this important financial institution. It's the biggest asset manager on the continent. They manage more than 3 trillion rand in assets on behalf of public sector clients, including the Government Employees Pension Fund. So this is an institution that is a custodian of substantial public sector savings. That's why it's important that there is stability in leadership and that governance issues are resolved. But how do we do that? Public servants deserve the assurance that their hard-earned pension savings are protected by an institution that operates with the highest standards of integrity, transparency, and accountability. You can join our conversation on 011-883-0702. You can send your WhatsApps as well on 072-702-1702. I've got a number of guests who are going to be joining me for this conversation. We've got someone who will just give us a more foundation before we continue with the chat, just to refresh your memory for some of you that may not know where things are now in as far as the PIC and the suspensions and resignations of board members are concerned. I'll be joined by Ruben Maleka as well, who's the General Manager at the Public Service Association. I'll bring in Dr. Mark Burke, the DA spokesperson on finance and a member of Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance. And maybe what I'll also do is bring in Dr. Joe Masangwanyi, who's the chairperson of Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance. All of that coming up after the break. It's 11 now after 11.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Prof. Kobler, give us a sense of how serious the city's illegal mining problem is in terms of the threats to infrastructure and the city itself.
Everywhere where this illegal mining is taking place, the guys are mining areas which was left intentionally to support surface structure. And everything that was designed on top of it, the roads and the buildings, were designed keeping in mind that there's pillars actually supporting the excavations below us. But that is what is being mined at the moment, and we have no idea about how big this problem is. This is a slowly creeping and legacy hassle with engineering, and the structural side of infrastructure that is not going away. It's just getting worse and worse every day.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
On Sunday, the 26th of July, Absa and Mazda are making your 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk truly iconic with a chance to win a brand new Mazda 2 on the day. To enter, download, register and transact on the Absa banking app between the 26th of June and the 20th of July 2026. Jozi, Absa sees you. Asambe. Absa is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Competition terms and conditions apply.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials. It's the flavor! Real reviews by real people. Nadine from Belito is no scallop, but she did call the flame-grilled half chicken in Nando's unique peri-peri recipe with a single side of your choice for $125 dope. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, sorry. Relax, Nadine. The only thing we're busting here is your hunger. Okay? Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa. With 1.6 billion rand unlocked for entrepreneurs through our Impact Finance Network, 58 billion rand invested through our Kumba Iron Ore business into infrastructure development, healthcare, community upliftment, and more. These are a few examples proving that when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. As a sponsor of this year's South African Investment Conference, we continue to work with our partners to unlock our country's full potential. South Africa has a partner. Anglo-American. Mining potential. Building beyond.
When Joburg walks with the people, for the people, on Sunday, 26 July, everybody will come together at the finish line of 702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk.
Walk the talk.
Babize bonke. As Jozi's favorite artists bring an epic afternoon of fun to the people, featuring Babalwa M, Lebza Defilian, Vibuhle, Nomfundo Mo, Sam Deep, Citizen Deep, and Manana. So, after you've taken the scenic route, join us at the finish line and celebrate the iconic rhythm that makes Joburg more than just a city.
It's Joburg.
702 Jozi Majozi Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
14 minutes after 11 o'clock. Let's start our conversation about what's been happening at the PIC. Let me first invite Rob Rose, who's a financial journalist who's going to help us understand where things are and how we got here. And then I'll bring in Ruben Maleka and the DA spokesperson on finance, because they've got some interesting suggestions on how you avoid the politicization of the PIC. Rob, let me start with you. Thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Clemens, thanks for having me on.
So where are we now? Two senior executives are on suspension. There have been multiple board resignations. There are whistleblower allegations and now a regulatory intervention by the FSCA. What is happening at the PIC and what is at stake here?
Well, Clemens, I think it's probably worse than that. The people I spoke to at the organization have described it as Hollywood because essentially everyone is in an acting position. You have 5 of the top 6 executives who are in acting positions. Like you say, the CEO was suspended, Patrick Lamini, last week. You have all the investment positions are filled by acting individuals. So it's a real governance crisis at the organization. And this is, to put it in context, it's a massively important organization for the economy. It holds 3.7 trillion rand of civil servants' pensions. 1.2 million people's lives depends on what happens at the PIC. So it's pretty important it's run correctly. But we've had a situation where, CEO suspended. You have the board now essentially being dissolved by the finance minister and a board meeting next week to discuss this. So it does, revert you back to a situation a couple of years ago where the PIC was in a governance crisis. And we thought after the Party Commission of Inquiry to fix this, that we wouldn't be here again. And we are here again. And that's I suppose, the dispiriting part of it.
Yeah, and isn't the issue politics here, Rob? I mean, if we simplify it, I think, in my view, there are people that are fighting over the control of the PIC. I mean, look at what the minister did. When this CEO, Patrick Dlamini, is put on suspension, the minister opposed it. He threatened to even dissolve the board if the decision wasn't rescinded. So isn't this then interference in the governance of the PIC? And do you think the issue here is still the politicization of this important institution?
Well, I do think that's a very key part of it. I mean, you have a situation where the Party Commission, a couple of years ago said, what we need to do is to remove politics from such an important organization and not have this organization chaired by a politician. So it said the practice, which had been to have the deputy finance minister be the chairman, should not happen. And that's the one recommendation from a party that actually people have just ignored. So you have a situation where, Godongwana's deputy, David Masondo, is still chairing the PIC. And obviously there's a difference of opinion with the finance minister on this. So politics has absolutely inserted itself into this organization. I mean, there clearly are, they're the battles that you might expect in any boardroom. There's disagreements over how to split roles and that sort of thing. But I think the politics has made it incrementally worse.
Yeah. And do we know, I mean, Patrick Dlamini, this is someone who's worked with the finance minister before at the BDSA. Do we know if there's a relationship that still exists to this point?
I mean, the finance minister has worked with, like you said, Patrick Dlamini. They got on well together. And it would seem from what we've heard and from what, the people inside the organization tell us that, Godongwana, the finance minister, is still very supportive of Patrick Dlamini. And this is part of the issue, is that he did not support his suspension. And the board, led by his deputy, David Masondo, did support the suspension. So that's a key difference of opinion on a very critical organization in the economy.
If the board is dissolved, then what happens to the investigation into the CEO? Does it continue or does it halt it?
It should continue. I mean, I'm sure it should continue. And they need a new board of directors to oversee this. And, the CEO will have to be cleared of these accusations, which were made in a whistleblower report, this 26-page whistleblower report, before we can return to work. And that's also a tricky thing, because you do get whistleblower reports against individuals and state-owned companies. It is quite a politicized environment. But should you act on every single whistleblower report? I mean, to some extent, some of the directors felt you should absolutely act on it. Others felt you have to assess the gravity of the accusations before you suspend the CEO and throw the organization into chaos. So I suppose that becomes a kind of a judgment issue, I suppose, of the board.
Yeah. And the whistleblower report, do we know if it pertains to issues around the PIC or maybe Patrick Dlamini's role at BDSA? Because it almost feels like the Lanseria airport investment issue is sort of like a side note. Or is it also quite central to the decision to have the CEO suspended?
Yeah, I mean, that is central to it. The PIC for years has been racked by this allegation that they invest in organizations they shouldn't. I mean, there was Daybreak Farms, there was Erin Energy 10 years ago, which was supposedly related to President Jacob Zuma at the time. So you do have this politicization of investments, and that's a key thing that needs to be addressed. In this case, Lanseria's airport was, the PIC in 2013 provided 333 million for funding a black empowerment investor in the Lanseria airport. And this led to, it was a scrappy thing. It's a tough thing running an airport during COVID, and they weren't able to repay the money, defaulted on the loan, and the PIC took back those shares. And then there was a big dispute over whether the PIC then should have paid out this person who had been there for the previous 10 years. In the end, the PIC ended up paying 411 million rand to this investor. And some felt, well, these guys didn't repay their loan. We shouldn't have paid out pensioners' money to this investor, Acapulco, and we shouldn't scrutinize it. So that lies at the heart of what the whistleblower report is. The claim is that Patrick Dlamini should not have reopened this investigation. He should have left it where it was. It was an arbitration award and left it as it was, but he reopened it because of his own personal conflicts. So that lies at the heart of it. There's lots in there, and there's stuff that's true and stuff that might not be true, and it's hard to say. So it'll be fascinating to see how the actual investigation into his role plays out.
Yeah, and now we've got the FSCA that's involved because they're concerned about the leadership stability and governance. I mean, is it unusual for this kind of regulator to publicly express this level of concern and even go further to institute investigations?
I think it's relatively abnormal for it to do this, and that's probably because of the wide systemic importance of this organization. Like I said, they own up to 20% of the entire JSE's value because they're such a big investor in the country. So what happens at the PRC, a sneeze at the PRC causes a massive flu at the rest of the economy. So you have to be wary of what happens there. So to have a situation where you are the FSCA, which is essentially the investment regulator, and you have an organization with, so many acting roles, nobody seems to be in a permanent position of authority, and then there's a clear lack of accountability on specific issues. I think that would concern any regulator. But given the size of this particular company in the economy, I think that demands extra scrutiny, which I think is what they've said. I think, Clement, had they not acted in this case, they would have faced charges of being, dereliction of duty, because this is something you absolutely have to investigate.
Yeah, the PAC is a financial services provider, right? So therefore, that falls within the mandate of the FSCA. Just lastly then, Rob, you spoke earlier about the recommendations of the Clement Commission, but the PIC board seems to have always insisted that the recommendations have been largely implemented. But is that really the case?
Well, Clement, certain recommendations of the 308 recommendations, sorry, it was 308, not 303, had to be implemented by the board and by the PRC. And they said, as far as they were concerned, they've done with implementing it. It's the recommendations that have to be carried out by government and state authorities, such as not having a chairman, amending the PRC Act to not have a politically based chairman in the role. And the PRC would argue, well, that's not our role, that's government's role to fix that. So as far as the PRC is concerned, I think they did largely implement the recommendations. But I do think the government was clearly not keen on not having, their own Treasury officials in charge of the PRC. And I think that's an issue that needs to be debated. Would it be better not to have anyone from Treasury in such a pivotal role? I think the evidence from the last couple of weeks suggests it would be good not to have a politician in charge of the PRC leading the board.
Rob, let me thank you for making time for us. Rob Rose, editor at Currency News, 24 now after 11.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
All right, now let me bring in Ruben Maleka, who is the general manager at the Public Service Association, and Dr. Mark Burke, who's the DA spokesperson on finance and member of Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance. Gentlemen, thank you so much for also joining us for this conversation. Ruben, I want to start with you because your members' retirement savings and futures are at the hands of the PIC. How worried are you about what is currently unfolding?
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to Dr. McBuck. First of all, we, the owners of the money, public servants, we are caught in the crossfire of people that have interest on monies that are not theirs. Firstly, politicians, political parties, and business. For quite some time, as the owners of the money, public servants, we have been left out into the PIC. Yes, we are now there represented in terms of trade unions, but that is not enough, because we are sitting with a situation where we are told that they must be experts, they must cooperate. Cooperate on what? Because we, as public servants, we've got skilled people that can actually sit in this PIC board without bringing any external bodies. We've got actuaries, we've got lawyers, people in justice cluster, like NPA, in prosecuting, in GPF actuaries. These are normal public servants. Why don't you afford them to amend these particular laws to say that the owners of the money are the one who will sit and oversee their own money? Because now, you see, we are sitting with the problem of so-called business, political parties, and also politicians now fighting over the money that is not theirs. So you pointed correctly to say, what happened to the issue of accountability versus governance crisis? when the good governance is exercised is called crisis. You find the board making a decision of saying, there are allegations, let's deal with the allegations. And remember, allegations when they're made, it's not that they're already being proven. So they're putting aside the two CEO and the chief investing officer. Then the minister is opposed to that.
But why
Then
would the minister be
correct.
opposed to that? Because if the board says we've looked at the whistleblower report and we think the allegations here are quite serious, so as a precautionary measure, we're asking the CEO to just pause a bit, be at home while we investigate. Why is the minister then coming back and taking issue with that?
You've asked a very good question earlier on to the journalist to say, where does it come from, Patrick Dlamini? And what is his relationship with the minister? It's not for me to answer. I'm sure the public is aware of the relationship. Then the question is that, then even the threat of dissolving the board, before even the board can act on what is being alleged. And suddenly, the very same board members who are not having any interest, they are not even public servants themselves. They are appointed by the minister himself. They take a back seat, they resign. What are they doing? Now, one can only conclude that they are creating a crisis to bring back that particular threat of dissolving the board to become a reality. So that is why, as PSA, we are saying those who remain must remain. They must do their work. The minister must fill vacancies of those who left. We are ready as public servants. They are very skilled public servants, very knowledgeable with experience. Leave the so-called expertise. Let them fill those vacancies. The board will work.
Okay. Dr. Burke, let's bring you in here. You have made proposals that, in fact, are in line with what the Mpati Commission has recommended. You argue that the PIC should be depoliticized. And I'll get to why you believe this is essential. But based on what you're seeing unfolding, what do you think is at the bedrock of this crisis?
ANC infighting, Clement. You've got a CEO who seems to enjoy the support of the minister, as you've alluded to earlier and as Rob touched on. And then you've got the deputy minister who serves as a chairman and represents a different faction. And the two of them are at loggerheads. So effectively, you've got an ANC minister and deputy minister at loggerheads with each other. And that's not purely because of ego. It's also because the PIC represents one of the last outposts of feeding troughs in the country. It's 3.6 trillion rand in assets, the biggest asset manager on the continent. And of course, people are looking to get their sticky hands on the funds there. The way they do this is within the unlisted space specifically, which is about 5% of the assets under management, slightly less, but still an eye-watering amount of money. And so all of this is happening because looters are going to loot. And one thing they hate is other people getting in front of line to loot quicker than they are.
All right, it's 11:30. Let's get the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Dr. Mark Burke and Ruben Maleka. I want to hear from you as well on 011-883-0702. Send your WhatsApps as well on 0727021702 and share your thoughts on what's unfolding at the PIC. I really think that this is all about political control over this very important institution. Clearly, the minister and the deputy don't see eye to eye on issues. Now that the CEO has been suspended, does the minister even know what's in the whistleblower report? And if he doesn't know, why then not trust the board that you have appointed? Because you appointed the board because you said they know what they're doing, they know their job, they're going to exercise their authority in protection of the PIC interest. So if they say, let's go investigate, why do you intervene? But also, what does the whistleblower report say? Is it about PIC issues or is it about matters that happened at BDSA when Patrick Dlamini was still there? Share your thoughts. It's 11:31. Bali, good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. At least 7 people have died in a crash in Mpumalanga involving a truck and 2 taxis. The Transport Department says the crash took place this morning on the N4 between Mbombela and Ngotwana. Emergency service teams are currently on that scene. Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has blamed one of her subordinates for a major blunder in the unit's probe into senior crime intelligence officers. It's been established at the Madlanga Commission that Johnson authorized an investigation into 8 senior crime intelligence officers without any basis. Testifying at the commission today, Johnson says IDAC's chief investigator, Dylan Perumal, is the one who gave her the names. And the state's main witness in the corruption case against former National Assembly Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula has taken the witness stand. Nombasa Chondwa Ndlovu, a contractor in the Defence Force, has turned state witness and is testifying against the former Defence Minister. Well, those are the headlines. This EWN and more at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Travelling in Bedfordview, we've got delays on the N3 North between Van Buren Road and the Gilulis interchange. There's also queuing traffic on the N12 West between Yinville Road and the Gilulis turnoff. This is due to roadworks. While heading towards Alexandra, do expect delays on the N3 North. That's between Linksfield Road and Modderfontein Road. That's due to an accident between those 2 points. And then travelling in the Amalgam area, some issues along Main Reef Road, Albertina Sisulu Road, as well as Park Drive. And then if you're travelling in the city of Tshwane, do expect some delays on the N1 South approaching the Flying Saucer interchange. There's also a bit of a hold-up on the opposite side of the road due to an earlier accident. That's your last update from me, Amo Ramela Karabuchale. We'll continue walking the talk with you on the traffic desk. Stay tuned.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
This Sunday, Joburg will come together for the 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk. But before you walk with the people, for the people, you'll need to collect your walk numbers from the arena near Ellis Park, next to tennis courts on 29 Bertrams Road in New Doornfontein. Collections take place every day until Saturday from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Please bring some form of ID and a copy of your confirmation to make your registration as seamless as possible. Also, please note, no collections are permitted on the day of the walk. 702 Josie Majosi Walk the Talk. Babiza Bonke, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. More on primemediaplus.com.
Your next transaction could win you a brand new Mazda 2. As proud partners of 702's Walk the Talk, Absa and Mazda are putting Josie in the driver's seat. Download, register and transact on the Absa banking app between 26 June and 20 July 2026 to qualify. The winners will be announced on race day. Absa is an authorized financial services and registered credit provider. Competition terms and conditions and minimum spend apply.
Uncertainty is rising, but your business still has to deliver. Production targets need to be met. And when your workforce is out of balance, the cost is immediate. Too many employees? Costs climb. Too few? Productivity drops. Workforce Staffing helps businesses stay in control with flexible workforce solutions deployed within 48 hours nationwide. When demand changes, your workforce can change with it. Visit workforcestaffing.co.za. Stay productive, stay flexible, stay in control.
Incredible Mazda moments of wonder await around every scenic twist and turn at 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Because on Sunday, 26th July, you get to discover 5 Mazda wonder experiences on the 8-kilometer route. From a stunning Japanese garden to a world of color. Visit one and share your wonder moments on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok. Then tag and follow at Mazda SA using hashtag Mazda SA. And you could win your share of 50,000 Rand thanks to Mazda, where wonder awaits. Official vehicle partner of 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. T's and C's apply.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
It's 25 minutes before 12 o'clock. We're having a conversation on our Thursday Dialogue this morning about the crisis at the PIC. The finance minister has now stepped in and called a general meeting of the PIC for the 27th of July, and that's where non-executive directors and even his deputy, David Masondo, are set to face a shareholder vote for removal. And what really is at issue here, at least in my view, is that you've got a decision that was taken by the board for the CEO, Patrick Dlamini, to be put on suspension, but Enoch Kotongwana, the finance minister, doesn't agree with that decision. In fact, it was quite clear when he even came out to threaten the board that, he will dissolve the board if they don't rescind that decision. And the board was trying to say, but we received a whistleblower report, and this is only a precautionary measure. So you've got to question, okay, why then the insistence of rescind the decision or else? Unless, of course, the finance minister has information we're not aware of where the board members are abusing their position. We still don't really have much information about what's in the whistleblower report, because it's not only the Lanseria issue that really is a contentious one here. So we heard from Rob Rose earlier, who's a financial journalist, who sort of laid the bedrock for us and laid the foundation to help you understand how we got here and probably where to from here. Now I've got Ruben Maleka, who's the general manager at the Public Service Association, and Dr. Mark Berg, who's the DA spokesperson on finance, also member of Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance. Before I go back to them, let's hear what some of you have had to say on our WhatsApp line on 072-702-1702.
Hi, Clement and the team. I'm a bit curious about the chair, what will happen if the board is dissolved. Because if the board gets dissolved, the chair must also leave. So what will happen with this current chair? Will he remain as the chair, or will he remain for the new board to be formulated and remain the next chair? David in Rosebank.
Hi, Clement. I think, with the PIC, a lot of the almost like what's happening there can be explained by who's actually been funded over the years. I mean, this is all public information, and I challenge you as journalists to go look at that information to say, over the past, since democracy began, for instance, which companies have been funded and how are they linked to the powerful business people, the powerful political elites? Because basically the PIC has been a feeding trough for the business elites and for the political elites. And they're simply just jostling over resources. And it's actually quite tragic, Clement, because they're not necessarily funding business ideas that are very good and are going to take the country forward and are going to improve the country and are really going to, bring the best return for the pensioners and so on. But they're just basically just looting it for their own businesses and their own business interests. So yeah, I honestly.
In 300 meters, turn left onto Van Buren Road.
And this is Koketso from Joburg.
Koketso, I hope you're not lost and you have 10 left on the next road. Thank you for your WhatsApp. Zola in Pretoria, what are your thoughts? Hi.
Hi, Clement.
Sure.
For me, the fundamental flaw with the entire PIC board is to have a deputy minister chairing that board. Remember, Clement, a deputy minister can be a former
Zola, the line is not good, my brother. The line is not good. I'm putting you back to the producers and we can try again maybe a little later. It's 20 minutes now before 12.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
Right, back to Ruben Maleka and Dr. Mark Burke now. Ruben, you have said before that the resignations raise concerns about how board members are appointed. What concerns you about the appointment process? And maybe help our listeners understand who is represented in the board. Is it the unions represented? And then government, like the deputy minister of finance is the chair. How many board members then does the minister appoint? How does it work? How is it structured?
Look, I don't have much knowledge about the full composition of the board. What I'm aware is that the act was amended to include the two big trade unions to have representation into the board, which is the Public Service Association, the PSA, and SATU. So we are part of those that represent labor or trade unions in the PIC board. And secondly, the rest that are there, they are actually appointed by the minister himself. And that is the concern that we are sitting with to say, following all the issues about and even the threat of dissolution of the board, the very same individuals that represents the minister are the ones that resigns in order to find the board in crisis of not being able to possibly correct, then we are saying at this point in time, this is an opportune time to say who are the people that should sit in the PIC board. And we are saying now is time that the owners of the money, who are the public servants themselves, are the ones that should actually be sitting into the PIC board. We've got pensioners who are very skilled. We've got economists, fully legal people in the public service. And we've got actuaries in the public service. These are the people that, in majority, should be occupying positions. Yes, of course, they can get expertise that can assist in making sure that the board can function optimally. But we are saying the time has come that we go back to legislation, amend the PSA Act to allow the owners of the money to see it instead of those who represent, politicians who are going to be appointed by the individual who is a politician. The time has come that the owners of the money elect themselves to represent their own money. I mean, as we stand, Clement, we are in year out. We are told that there's not enough money to increase pensioners, monthly or annual increases. They get 2 or 3%, and we ask ourselves why. They'll tell us that no, there's not enough investment or returns to make sure that there's enough increase for pensioners. Today, the inflation is standing at 5%. They receive 3%. What do we say about those pensioners?
Yeah.
Because that is the money that they should live on as they are already on pension.
Yeah, got you. Dr. Berg, I was trying to think I'm really not surprised, but I'm baffled because I was trying to think now, what kind of skills do you think are required for someone to chair a board of an institution that manages more than 3 trillion rand in assets on behalf even of public sector clients, including government employee pension funds? But just at a basic level, anyone listening to us now would realize that you need someone who has specific skills to be the board chairperson of an institution that manages more than 3 trillion rand in assets. But the way that the legal requirements are is the deputy finance minister, who could be anyone. I could be the deputy finance minister because the cabinet gets appointed at the prerogative of the president. So I could, and I don't have much information about asset management and investments, but by virtue of being the deputy minister of finance, then I would be the chairperson of the PIC board. Why is it so difficult to get government to see that and make the necessary changes?
Clement, the DA opens this list soon, and you must definitely apply to become one of our representatives. You would probably do a far better job. Slightly more seriously, you're quite right. The law at the moment says that the chair should be the deputy finance minister or another minister from the economic cluster. And to answer your earlier question, there's then 3 organized labor reps on that board, 2 GEPF reps, 1 treasury rep, 1 representative of any depositor holding more than 10%, and then the executive directors, which would be the CEO, CIO, and CFO. So you've got 13 board members. Your question is, who is qualified to do this? And the answer is quite simple, but maybe it's best explained by looking at an alternative in the market. If you're saving the money that you earn by doing great journalism in the country at, let's say, Old Mutual, and I said to you, your money is fine, but the CEO has just been suspended and the CIO. And by the way, all of these board members have either resigned or been kicked out over the last 2 years, including in the last week, 6 of them. And I said to you, they keep losing billions of rand in investments in the unlisted space. But don't worry, your money is fine at Old Mutual. You'd be horrified. You'd say that's insane. We could never do that. Yet that's the situation by law that pension contributors who work for the state, who have worked for the state, are locked into. And there is also your answer there. You'd want somebody with asset management experience, and there are good people in South Africa. You could even take folks with banking experience that know how to manage large deposits, and you would recruit those. So the bill that we've proposed is a bill that says we need to get politics out of this board. And the way you do that is the Standing Committee of Finance needs to get apolitical people to form a selection panel. And that independent selection panel must then take people who have not served in political office for the last 3 years, people with industry experience, knowledge, and know-how, and create a short list from those people to pass on to the minister. The minister can then reject people on that list, but he can't come up with people out of his own list. It has to come from this independent selection panel that puts forward a board. And once all of that's done, then the new 13-person board must, from its own ranks, elect its own chairperson independently. And if you do this, you're able to get people out of that used to be in politics out of this board equation. But Clement, I want to quickly stop on something else that Rob said earlier, because there's the risk here that we imagine that by fixing the board, all of the problems goes away. Rob said that we feel like we've gone back to the pre- party findings, but the fact is we've always been there. It's simply that the PIC kept confidently telling us that all the party recommendations, the operational recommendations, not the legislative ones that we're now talking about, the operational ones, have been implemented successfully. And I can exclusively share with 702 listeners today that the DA can prove that more than 10 operational requirements of a party have not been implemented. Requirements relating to the review of their current secretary, a person with enormous power who's gone ahead and gotten people installed in the Daybreak vehicle that was able to loot so much money via these inflated contracts. Operational requirements relating to digitization that the PIC kept saying that they'd implemented, and the Auditor General proved that they had not implemented. And organizational findings relating to the way that a turnaround unit within the PIC operates, and that they had said that entity had been constructed. So and is operating efficiently. And so Clement, the fact is we've got a legislative problem, but we've also got an organizational problem at the PIC. And even fixing the board doesn't bring us out of the woods on this now deeply corrupt entity that is the PIC.
So what are you doing about this then as Parliament? Because you sit on Parliament's Finance Committee. That's the committee that provides oversight over the PIC. What role have you been playing as Parliament? And do you think Parliament should establish its own inquiry into the current governance and leadership crisis there at the PIC?
Absolutely, there should be an inquiry. We cannot have this massive asset manager representing millions of South Africans directly who would be eligible for pensions from the PIC, but also the whole South African population who would hold the bag if the PIC were to fold, because the taxpayer guarantees state pensions. The PIC is merely the vehicle through which that guarantee is not necessitated. So your question is, what are we doing as Parliament? And the answer is, what have we been doing in Parliament? I have repeatedly tried to engage with the chairperson on the Standing Committee of Finance, who's not formally responded to any of my requests. Even so, between SCOPA, which is the Standing Committee on Public Accounts, and the Standing Committee of Finance, when the PIC does appear in front of us, we have held their feet to the fire. We were able to ascertain that the CEO, who's now been suspended, had his own conflict because he used to be on the board of Lanseria and then revisited this transaction involving Lanseria and the shareholders there, including Harris. We were the ones that broke the story on a former director by the name of Vuyani Haku, who got a more than 10 million rand golden handshake when he left under a cloud from the organization. And we hope that it will become an issue that looks more again like an ad hoc committee. Maybe that's in front of SCOPA, so it's not under ANC control, this review. And then it must also be said that the legislation that we've proposed doesn't need to take 2 years to come to fruition. We are able as a Parliament to, in exceptional important circumstances, pass laws a lot quicker. For example, we pass budget laws in a quick turnaround time. And when we needed to pass laws on grey listing to get ourselves off of that, we also streamlined those laws. So the political interference and pension protection bill that we've now proposed shouldn't take a long time to come to fruition, but we will keep holding the PIC to account in Parliament. At this point, it's starting to look really bad for the ANC that they keep circling their wagons around the PIC.
Ruben, you have called for calm and stability. How do you want this matter to be addressed while also ensuring confidence is restored quickly? I think you're muted, Ruben. Okay. Well, something seems to be wrong there with Ruben's line. And I just wanted to know, because their members' savings and futures are at the hands of the PIC. So how do they see this matter being resolved? So let me thank Ruben Maleka, General Manager for Public Servants Association, and Dr. Mark Byrne, who's the DA spokesperson on finance, but also sits on Parliament's Standing Committee on Finance. It's 9 minutes now before 12 o'clock. After the break, I'll come to your WhatsApps and calls. Feel like a kid again with Polar Ice Cream, turning the finish line of the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk into the sweetest stop of the day. Cross that finish line and join in the happiness, because Polar is showing up with the crowd favorites, Polar Pops and fruity licks for every walker, cheering you on every step of the way and celebrating every achievement with a well-deserved treat. So walk with purpose, knowing South Africa's favorite ice cream will be waiting for you at the end. Polar Ice Cream. Share the happiness.
Joburg, it's time to show up for our city. On Sunday, 26 July, join thousands of Joburgers for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk in proud partnership with Standard Bank. Walk through the heart of Johannesburg, celebrate its rich history, and experience the positive growth taking place in the CBD. As a committed partner, passionate about the growth of our city, Standard Bank invites you to be part of a movement that's helping build a safer, stronger, and spirited Josie for generations to come. Register now and take the walk that brings Johannesburg together. The 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, proudly partnered by Standard Bank.
Whenever she fell or got hurt, a kiss always took the pain away. Honey and hugs helped at first when the coughing started. It's just a cold. Keep her warm and she'll be fine, we thought. I wish I could kiss RSV away too. Respiratory syncytial virus is a contagious virus that can lead to serious illnesses, including lung infections. Fortunately, protection for infants against RSV is now available in South Africa. Ask your healthcare provider about keeping your baby protected during their first RSV season.
Taking part in the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk this Sunday? Well, listen up. You can bring Joe with you. Joe is your free AI Johannesburg companion, helping you navigate the route while uncovering hidden Josie gems along the way. You could even win great prizes, a Josie weekend experience around Main Street Sundays on the 9th of August. Use the signs along the route to unlock fascinating facts about the city's history. Download Joe now by going to Joburg in your pocket gpt.com. That's Joburg in your pocket gpt.com. That's Walk the Talk with Joe and Josie My Josie, and discover your city one story at a time.
The Dialogue with Clement Manyathela.
It's not just another roundtable discussion.
Let's walk the talk on 702.
Right, let's wrap up our conversation now with some of your calls and WhatsApp voice notes. Zola, let's try again. You are in Pretoria. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Sorry, man, earlier I was driving.
No worries. Go ahead.
For me, the fundamental flaw here is that there is no SOE, Clement, that is chaired, whose board is chaired by a deputy minister, except this one. This is flawed to the core, because remember, a former mayor of some obscure failed municipality can become a deputy minister of finance. And that person can automatically become the chair of the board of the PIC. We are not running short of people with experience, Clement, in the financial services sector, who can come from the private sector with experience and good credentials to chair the PIC board. This whole thing of a deputy minister, either from finance or the entire economic cluster, is flawed and it needs to be changed. That's one. Two, one of the issues that we need to address is that we need more people in that board with experience from the financial services sector. I mean, do you know that in the banking space, for you to hold certain positions, you need to go through what is called fit and proper from the Prudential Authority, that is the Reserve Bank. I was once in those positions, and I had to do further studies to get the qualification of being fit and proper to sit there. Why are we taking all and sundry to manage the biggest fund manager in this continent, for that matter? We need to change the whole system. With the politicians, I don't care, Clement, whether they come from the DA or ANC or whatever, we need to depoliticize PIC.
Got you.
And there should be a transparent selection panel that recommends to the minister. But we need clearly defined qualification requirements to and even chair the PIC.
I agree with you. Zola, I'm out of time, but you've made some important points there. WhatsApp's on 072 702 and 702.
Hi, Clement. Anonymous here. Beyond the current drama and everything, I think it's also good to keep in mind beyond the storm what could happen. And I think, this institution is so lucrative in terms of financial resources that can be used. Like I can see how it can actually help to beseed money or to invest in young people's businesses and SMMEs. Like I'm just seeing, for example, like the Dragon Show, something like that. Like if government can actually have that type of a platform where we bring experienced business people both from private sector and treasury and so forth, to actually just come and obviously pick the best businesses and support them and invest in them, especially with the criteria of creating economic growth, increasing employment for youth, for other youth, and innovation and so forth, like bringing solutions to the country. So for me, I see a bigger opportunity here beyond this storm. Anyway, sure.
On Sunday, 26 July, the entire city unites for the 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk. Walk the Talk. And because Joburg is more than just a city, we'll be walking for the people. So join us and help make a difference to homelessness in the city by entering on primemediaplus.com and donating vouchers.
Donate a voucher.
Which is a cashless way to give, helping people experiencing homelessness access a hot shower, a meal, a bed, or more support. Anybody can join and everybody can donate. 702 Josie My Josie Walk the Talk, hosted by the City of Johannesburg. Enter and donate now on primemediaplus.com.
Right, gang, are we all in? Liam? Here. Ethan? Here. Andrew? Here. Luca?
Yeah.
Amelia?
Yeah.
Violet?
Yeah, Mom.
Introducing the Chungun CS75 Pro, a powerful turbocharged engine, modern safety features, and room with 7 seats for everyone.
Hey, that's not everyone. You forgot Choppy, Mom.
Oh, Choppy. The all-new CS75 Pro.
Chungun. Driven to evolve.
As Joburg takes a big step towards a cleaner future, the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment is joining you on this journey because a cleaner city is everyone's responsibility. So, whether at home or in public spaces, always use designated bins, separate recyclable materials, and never litter or dump illegally. And together, everybody can build cleaner, healthier, and greener communities. Act now, reduce waste, and recycle. This message was brought to you by the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment.
Coming up on the Midday Report with Mandy Weiner.
Up next on the Midday Report. Good morning.
Good morning,
What's
Clement.
popping?
Of course, Andrea Johnson still on the stand at the Madlanga Commission. She's facing a lot of pressure around her testimony at the ad hoc committee in Parliament and how that doesn't align with the testimony that she's giving to the Madlanga Commission and whether she could potentially face a perjury charge around that. So we'll pick up on that. The criminal trial, the corruption trial of former National Assembly Speaker and Defence Minister Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula, that is continuing. Minister Gayton McKenzie has announced a 3 million rand pledge in financial assistance to the hockey teams.
Oh, so convenient.
Isn't it just?
So
Because now we're going to
convenient.
forget that he spent 31 million rand
Yeah.
on the World Cup trip.
So convenient.
Yes. But at least the hockey players don't have to.
Yeah, but we didn't have to get to
crowdfund.
this point.
Absolutely, we didn't have to get to this point. So we'll speak to Ontatile Zulu, who put up a post on Instagram, one of the hockey players, about this. And then our book of the week is a great piece of investigative journalism. It's called Undelivered. It's from the journalist who followed the case of the rogue midwife and the mothers who stopped her.
All right, that's the Midday Report up next with Mandy Weiner. Thank you for listening to the Thursday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. We're back again tomorrow between 9 and 12. Have a beautiful day, my friends. Bye-bye.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Head of the Investigating Directorate Against Corruption, Andrea Johnson, has blamed one of her subordinates for a major blunder in the unit's probe into senior crime intelligence officers. It's been established at the Madlanga Commission that Johnson authorized